We, I mean, not, we can add it as a discussion item at the end if you like. Huh? If you'd like to be put on the agenda for a discussion, we can do that. Or do you, and if you have a question on any agenda item, you're allowed to speak at the time that we call it. Okay. Do you want, are you just making an announcement for the arts board or?
Yeah.
Okay, we can take you first. No, I mean, there's not a lot of residents so far, so we're pretty open to fellow board members kind of thing. Sure. Okay. Hello. Can I ask you, sir, what's your name? Last name? Cerveza? Cerveza. Are you on the agenda tonight? Oh, there you go. Okay. And you're together? Or no? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sent back to the JV.
Yeah, you don't have to wait around. As long as when you're done, you can leave. Thanks.
What's up, buddy? How's everything?
I remember what the paragraph was.
Yeah.
How are you on the agenda tonight? The name, please. Solo? Silva. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the planning board meeting. Today is Monday, May 16th. We are about to start shortly. As our chairman, Gage Hurton, call up your item with your address. We ask you that you please come up to the podium, speak into the mic, and state your case or speak clearly so we can hear you. And also, if you have any follow-up questions as to what happens next, following steps, if you have a building that requires structural, it goes to structural tomorrow morning. If it needs MEPs, mechanical, electrical, plumbing review, it goes to our MEPs during the week. Our building official is the last person to review on Fridays. If you have any questions, my name is SB. I'm the building coordinator. You can always give me a call or email me. Thank you.
add to its discussion and if you figure it out. We'll take care of it. Good evening, everyone. Is everyone ready? Charlotte, you good?
Yeah, I will be.
You sure we can wait a minute?
No, no, go ahead.
All right, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. This is the planning board meeting for the Village of Biscayne Park for Monday, May 16th, 2022. It is now 6:30 p.m. Do the roll call. Edward Leyva.
Present.
Scarlett Hammonds.
Yes.
Manny Espinoza.
Here.
David Gruen.
Here.
Gage Hartingham here, as well as Espy.
Here.
All right, so we just have a few residents here, so let's go ahead and we'll take care of you so you can be on your way. I'm going to do it in order of the agenda. And actually, we do have one add-on for discussion. It's Payne, 11251 Northeast 11th Place for H. She's a member of the Art Board and she wants to discuss something with us. So we'll come to her as soon as we can clear this out. So let's go to building permits B. Salaveria, 712 Northeast 120th Street for windows. Sure.
Good evening. My name is Marta. I'm from Hyper Construction. We're the contractor for Sarah. We are remodeling that kitchen for her. We have already submitted the permits for the kitchen remodel. And while we're doing that, the client asks us to upsize 2 of her existing windows. We're replacing the windows with the same brand and color that she already has, which is a dark brown color.
What about the style? Are they horizontal? Are the existing windows horizontal rollers
Yes.
also?
Horizontal.
Okay, so everything will be the same style and color.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Any questions on the board?
Nope.
We're all good? Okay, David Manny, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen that just came in, what are you on the agenda tonight? The name, please. One more time. Chandler. Discussion, okay. Okay, next will be Building D, Brickell Key Estates, 885 Northeast on 11th Street for a driveway and temporary construction fence. Let's do the driveway first.
Hi, everybody. I'm Oliver.
Okay. Let's talk about the driveway first. I think the calculations are just not all filled out correctly. There's blank spaces and there's not percentages on the property and the right of way. I mean, their property is 28% here, but what about the approach? It doesn't say anything about existing here. It just says what he's proposing and what. So, okay, but, and then also I'll open it up for discussion on the board. I have a concern about the fact that it's just a massive amount of concrete in one side of the yard.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that really is the driveway itself or if they're supposed to be somewhere in that area.
Is this what you're applying for? Is this big
Really the driveway?
piece of concrete here?
2,000 square feet.
And it is concrete, correct? Yeah, so we'll just need a little bit more detail because right now it just reads as like this massive amount of concrete. Anybody else seeing a design or anything? I'm not seeing it.
No, there's no design. No. Is there a design?
Typically for a driveway application like this, you'd have a correctly drawn driveway, be dimensioned, you'd have your calculations completed on that calculation sheet, so it's not really much for us to be able to review what's presented here.
All right, so you want me to give you the exact size of the place that's gonna be?
Correct,
Just
yeah.
parking space inside the property, and you want a picture of the design that is gonna be there?
I mean, an accurate drawing of the intended driveway design with dimensions and the calculations on the pervious
Okay.
form.
The driveway also has to be is it 30 inches off.
Yeah,
the property line?
Thank you. Yeah, I was just gonna say, you can't go right up to the side property. You're also not showing it with the approach across the right of way. You have to go out to the street.
Mhm.
But right now, you're just showing it up to the property line. On this, I mean, it's not really, it's just a highlight. So, like Ed was saying, we need to have a better drawing, calculations, and just keep in mind, that it's a lot of concrete, so we need to break it up a little bit, and not, we don't want to pave over the entire front yard.
No, it's
Or-
not.
yeah.
It's huge, the front yard.
Yeah, so, you want to work on this and come back to us?
And the fence is the most.
Well, I'll come
important.
back, we'll do that next, but I just,
Okay, yes.
okay. We just want to table this?
You wanna, make a
Motion to table.
David,
second?
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we're gonna table the driveway. And then we're also gonna talk about Brickell Keys. You already have an 885 Northeast 11 for a temporary construction fence. So you have a construction permit already for the addition that you're doing.
Yes, I have a permit,
Okay,
but I just need for the fence in front of the property.
so this is a 6-foot temporary construction fence around the front. You're linking up to the fence that's on the side,
Yeah,
on the 9th Avenue side, right?
yes, sure.
Any issues? And we do have an approved driveway, we do have an approved construction permit.
The side that's on the other side from 9th Avenue, it's also gonna connect to the side fence because it doesn't do it on the highlighting thing, but I assume you're.
It's gonna interconnect to all the fence completely. to
Okay. so
Close
it's
off
not like
completely.
Gonna be a gap on the other.
No, there was be no gaps.
All right, motion to approve.
Just one more question. You're gonna have a gate to enter and out.
Yes,
It's not shown on here, but you will have a
there's a
gate.
gate already in the fence on the side of the entry to the backyard.
And I think the code does call out that it has to have access gates and
Okay, it's
things.
just not on the plan.
Yeah, no, you're right. but,
Normally, the temporary construction fences, they have like certain gap. You can actually make any part
The
into the gate, yeah, so that way if you need to move like where
Right.
trucks are and everything.
Right.
Just adjust.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
I already have a motion from David. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scarlett, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're good. Thank you. You're good on the fence. So you'll come back at the next meeting with a better presentation for the driveway?
Okay, for the fence now, what's the next step for me to put the
It-
fence now?
It goes to our building official on Friday. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right. Next will be Building G Silveria, 1001 Northeast 118th Street for a shed. Was you? You're Silveria for the shed, correct? Okay. Okay, so let me just look at it really quick. What's the size of the shed?
7 foot by 7 foot.
It's a 7x7 shed?
Yep.
Okay, and you're showing it 10 foot from the rear and how far from the side? The 10, because it has to be 10 and 3.
Okay, 10 and 3, then that's where I do it.
Right now you're doing 10, so if you do 10 to the side, you're good.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah, you drew it as if it's 10 and 10. but
it does, yeah.
You just can't be within 3.
got it. Okay,
Motion to approve.
One quick question first. Do I need can I do it on a paver floor?
That's a building department question, not a.
Okay.
Because you're, the NOA for that shed might have a certain tie down requirements, foundation requirements, but that's something that building will review, not zoning.
Okay, got it.
I had a motion from David, right?
Second.
Scarlett, all in favor, say aye. 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 You're good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let our building official, sir? I'll let our building official know about the paver when she comes in on Friday, so she can give you an answer.
So just like,
Yeah, on Monday. Yeah, but I'll, let me see. Is your phone number on
And
here?
just make sure that you also do the part that connects to the street.
Yes.
Right now, it would be like road, grass. concrete.
yeah. you're not
Yes.
showing it.
I'm gonna have her call you. I'm gonna put a note about the paver. Okay.
This.
Yeah.
Because that side, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, but like, again, if you look at this, you've got a basically a 10-foot parkway of grass that you're, as if your driveway's not
Yeah.
going out to the street, right?
Exactly.
So it just needs to be drawn accurately. And if you're planning on doing that kind of concrete pad that's broken up, show that, because what we see here is just a
Just one
massive continuous concrete, not like that, right? So include that kind of picture in your application.
And it needs to be drawn too.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, in addition, a reference image is helpful.
Thank you. All right, next will be building K, Huron, 11020 Northeast 10th Avenue, windows and doors.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
We submit permits by owner for windows and doors. Just want to let know that everything's going to be the same paint and there's no going to be any alterations as of right now. So it's just replacement.
Okay, so you're doing, you have a nice schedule here. Thank you. Horizontal rollers, pretty much,
Yes,
with doors in the front. Okay, and the color of it is gonna be
White, great.
white.
Yeah, with that slight pink.
Any, pretty cut and dry. Is there any questions on the board?
Nope.
No, motion to approve.
Second.
David and Ed, on favor, say aye.
Aye.
thank you so
Carries.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Are you the contractor or the homeowner? You're the owner, okay. They turned in really nice drawings. Tell them, thank you, made our life very easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That's the windows, right?
Yeah. Okay, I know some more people came in. If you just give me a minute, we're just gonna finish off the original people that were present. Next will be building M Silva, 11350 Northeast 8th Court, new pool deck heater.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm the homeowner
Hi.
and I've applied for a new pool and deck and heater.
You're doing a new pool deck, the deck and heater,
Yeah,
or not just the heater.
no, the heater, I'm assuming that the way that's written is the heater is just part of the pool.
Okay.
It's not like a hot tub or anything. And then, yeah, the deck.
So I'm just curious. It says proposed pool. So is the pool new too?
Yeah,
it's-
new
it's a new
construction. Yeah,
everything.
there's
Okay,
no
I'm-
pool
I'm
currently,
just,
yeah.
I was reading it as like you're just putting a heater in.
No, yeah,
So it's
that's why that looks weird. It's a new pool deck and the
Got
heater
it.
is a part of the pool.
Okay, so you have a 10-foot rear setback, 10-foot side setback. You're clear on the other sides, the setbacks.
The concern is the lot coverage, and I didn't see a lot coverage.
Um,
Form.
What's that?
So you're allowed a maximum lot coverage of 50% of impervious material. So a building, pavers, concrete slabs, pool is considered impervious. So all of that combined can exceed 50% of the square footage of the lot itself,
Of just like the whole lot or like the backyard?
of the entire lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So your lot, it's probably on your survey somewhere.
Yeah.
But there's also usually in these kinds of applications, okay, you have it here, but it's not
Well, it's actually, I have it. I mean, you're
filled out, but you're over by
actually stating you're
4%.
54%, so you're
Yeah.
above the maximum lot coverage of 50%.
Mm.
4% over.
Yeah, you're 4% over. So, I mean, you have that large accessory building in the back that takes up a lot of space too. But it's already there. So I mean, there's, that's done.
So you could either cut down like a concrete, or if you wanted to, you could make a part of it, for instance, like wood, because, or like composite wood, like plastic instead of wood, because then that's considered to be like pervious because the rain.
For the deck part, you mean?
If you wanted to do that for a portion of it, or you could just make the deck a little bit smaller so that you fit in that 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, you're so close. I think I would just find a way to trim that paver deck. a little bit.
Right? Like
Maybe that-
less
that-
paver?
Well, just that little, you have like a kind of like a cantilever, like handled part
jutting
going
angle.
off. to the
Right.
end. If you made that just like a straight edge, maybe that gets you down below the level.
Okay.
And then the only other thing is that you may have to retrofit the fences, because the fences have to be self-closing. So it's like if the gate's left open, like a little kid just wandering.
Oh, so was I emailing with about that? And then I was told, and I have it in email paper trail, that a baby net and fence or either or would,
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah, if you're gonna do,
Yeah,
if you're
so
gonna
I'm
do
gonna do
that, then
that.
you're fine as
I think they
well.
submitted that. They
Okay.
should have done that as.
Yeah, I mean, you're using Essex. They know.
Yeah. Well, that's why now I'm surprised you're saying the thing about, I'm surprised they didn't know about the 50%.
Well, yeah, and they actually, I mean, I'm assuming they're the ones that filled out the.
Yeah, they did everything.
Yeah, so they. Actually, but they should have should have noticed that when they
Yeah,
got to
they
the end,
never
it
said
was
anything about that.
54% impervious.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
again,
I
you're
mean,
so.
Essex
so
should know.
close.
They should
They're
know,
not-
right?
They're not the
Yeah.
first pool they put in.
Yeah.
So,
So how would I go about fixing this? Would they have to resubmit, or how does this work?
Yeah, they'd have to resubmit revise the plan to bring it down to that 50%, and we just resubmit the plan.
And then I would come to one of these again and. okay.
Yeah, we're here in two.
You don't.
June
have to-
13th.
Yeah, and you don't have to come.
No?
No, like you.
I mean, you in person, I mean.
Yeah, you can just, there's lots of ones that we have to do today where nobody shows up.
Oh, okay.
So if all it is you're just changing the drawing, like we'll prefer we can just, if you wait like 6 months. that may not.
No.
But-
I want to go.
But
as quickly as possible.
if we just see that this has changed, now you're below the 50. The only other thing to kind of think about is just like, hey, if you take yourself right to 50, it just means down the road, you won't really be able to do anything
Right.
different to the place. So
Right. Okay. And so I talked to Essex about this. They resubmit. You guys can do this. If I'm not here, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, respectfully though, I think it's great that you're here, because if you weren't, this would have been denied and you wouldn't know why, and then you'd be asking questions. You might not get the right answer. So like the fact that you are here, you're 100% clear on what the issue is,
Yeah.
and that's good. A lot of the residents don't attend, and then they don't, they get denied,
no,
and
I
then they
was
don't know
happy-
why,
yeah, I
and
was
then it
happy
creates
to attend.
confusion, right?
I just
So-
mean if by any chance I can't make the next
Yeah,
one.
you're not required. Always.
You just got to work out how to bring it down to 50%
Okay.
if you can.
And resubmit everything. Okay.
You have a very unusual lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have much of a front yard, do you?
No, it's been a puzzle.
Yeah.
To figure it all out. That's why I'm like shocked that they overlooked this, because they've been looking at every little detail to get it right, and so it's a little surprising, honestly.
The other, right, setbacks look fine. I think everything else is probably.
Can I also ask a question?
Sure.
On average, about how long are full permits taking? Do we have any idea?
For a pool, it goes to structural. Our structural is from a private provider, so he's not in office. It gets carried out. It takes 3 to 5 business days to return to us, and then it goes through to our electrical and plumber. They come on the same day, so they will review it on the same day. And then on Fridays, our building official. So you're looking about like up to 2 to 3 weeks. If there's no comments, no denials.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
if there are any comments back and forth, it will be
Okay.
longer. And depends on how fast they respond, your contractor, your
Essex
arch-
was telling me it could take up to 4 months. So
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
shocked.
Well,
to hear
it's depending on the comments, how long it takes you to respond.
Okay.
If it's a denial, if it's a straight approval, then you shouldn't, it'll be up to a month or so.
Okay.
But if it's denied, then they have to respond to the
Right.
comments and depending on
Right.
structural, electrical or plumbing or
Okay.
building, so.
If I could give advice, the building official that is here on Fridays, I think you should-
Yeah, in the morning, yes.
that's the toughest of those. And you can request to try and to schedule like a meeting.
A meeting, yeah.
on
She's
Friday.
available from 10 to 12 on Fridays.
So if you want to be faster, I would recommend trying to schedule a meeting when you're at that stage, so that way the Essex person, and if you want to be there as well, but the Essex person and her can sit down and go through, and then if she has any questions, whatever, it doesn't turn into a super long email. It takes for everybody to figure out. They can
Okay.
just get it hammered out.
And what stage exactly? is that?
Usually Fridays.
No, but I mean,
It's
at
the
what-
last, that's
Oh,
after.
when it gets to the
Mechanical
building
electrical.
official's job,
Okay.
try and have somebody from Essex meet
Meet
with
on a
her
Friday.
on one of those Fridays
Okay.
from 10 to 12, just so that it doesn't turn into, because the other people kind of.
It looks pretty straightforward too, though. So, yeah, that's a good advice. That's good advice.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I get a motion to table, please?
A motion to table.
David?
Second.
Ed, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, just to kind of go by everyone that was here, we have Ms. Payne here, 11251 Northeast 11th Place, part of the art board. She has some things she'd like to talk to us about.
What's the added?
It's not, it got added.
Oh, okay.
Someone.
That in the discussion.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Payne. I live at 11251 Northeast 11th Place. I am the new chair of the new named Arts and Culture Advisory Board. And I wanted to speak with you all because we have a really exciting event upcoming in 2 weeks. We're doing the first ever Biscayne Park Jazz Festival. It's called Jazz in the Park, and it's going to be right here at the Ed Burke Recreation Center field on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, the 28th from 4 to 8 p.m. We're going to have live music for 4 hours. We've booked some really incredible jazz artists from all over South Florida. And we're going to have a bunch of local vendors, a lot of different businesses from Miami Shores and in El Portal and the surrounding area. There's going to be like some activities for the kids. It's really, really going to be a lot of fun. There will be wine and beer as well, because you need that in a jazz festival. And we really just want it to be an awesome family event for people to just come out, support their local community, and just listen to some amazing music. I'm also speaking to you all today because we do need some help with donations. We are very close to our budget for the live music, but we are about $500 short. I'm not sure if the planning board has any sort of funding they do for events or this sort of thing, but if not, I wanted to just invite you all as members to please come. And if you can donate or would like to donate, we would really appreciate it. I have little flyers and it has a QR code on it that you can scan. And there's a link to the foundation that's specifically for the jazz event if you would like to donate. And yeah, just wanted to invite everybody.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Nice to meet
guys.
you, and congratulations on being
Thank you.
chair. And yeah, if you just want to distribute.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We don't have funds to, as a board, to donate or just to.
That's okay. I
Everybody.
figured, but just want to
All
spread
right,
the
so
word.
you came in next, which.
Time. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Should do it. What, no, Shepherd, okay. Okay, and sir? Turn it. Decca? Okay. It's a discussion. item? Fontana, okay. Okay, just. And then sir? The gentleman over there? Chandler, oh, that's right, you already checked you in there. All right, so he actually did come in, so We'll go to discussion A, Chandler, 11001 Northeast 8th Court, second floor addition.
So I had two items that I wanted to talk about, the second floor addition and then possibly guidance on driveway. The second floor addition is mainly, I just wanted to see if there was one possibility of encroaching on the setbacks. Right now, the portion that I would do it, which is a flat roof, it would take up one bedroom and take away that bedroom. So, to approach if there was a possibility.
You're
I did
adding a second story,
wanting to add a second
Yeah.
floor.
but you'd be going beyond the outline of the first floor?
Is this the red dotted line?
Yeah,
you're
the
referring-
red dotted line would be a possibility of what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, our setbacks are setbacks, you know, we don't really, we don't have the ability just to not enforce them. We do have a variance process, but you have to prove that there's a hardship that says, you know, that you have to be able to do this and you can't do it anywhere else.
Variance process also goes to
Yeah, it's a commission thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just seeing, you know, I don't really, mine's on kind of like the cul-de-sac, so there's a lot of space in the front. And there's one of my next neighbor's backyard is all the way to my backyard, so that's where I was like hoping if there was a possibility that there's not like an actual building next to it. That's where I was.
Yeah. No, I mean, you
But
have a
it- yeah.
10-foot side setback and,
Okay.
and even the new structure would have to be at 10 feet. And right now you're at 9.65. I mean, it's, you have to keep that in mind. You know, you can go back, you're not, you know,
Right, yeah,
you
my.
just can't go
septic
sideways in
is there.
front. 'Cause right now you're right at 30 feet on your front. it looks like.
Right.
30.30.
Okay. The second item, I was wondering if DP is talking to residents as far as the driveway, like what is the options that they have for the driveway, or you know, with the driveway ordinance, I did look at it and there was, on the first page, it does say that it has to match what is there currently. But then in like the second or third page, it says pre-existing, or I can't remember the word.
if you want to like change the design or the materials or all of that type of stuff like that.
No. So what I have is a stamped concrete up
Okay.
to the, up to my property line, a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
Like I said, mine's on the corner of the,
Cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac. It's a lot to do just that. The way that they built it, I'm guessing they got a permit. There's no permits on this, right? The driveway is a little bit lower than what the street is, so it pools there. So I would like to put gravel there or something that would permeate into it. If not, I'm gonna have to redo my whole driveway, which is, you know,
So,
not really what I wanted to do.
okay. So right, you're in, you kind of got that funky, cul-de-sac thing. So your driveway, right now you kind of drive across dirt or something?
Gravel, yeah.
To get to your driveway?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't, so at one point they were saying you could do the borders with the gravel, everything, that would be fine. I was waiting for permanent, you know, this is what it is, and thankfully I did, but now I don't know what I'm doing.
So what you could do is, you know, it says of a uniform design. So if you wanted to incorporate gravel and maybe adding some more stamped on its way out, you know, so that it's, you know, you can have more than one material, but it has to be of a uniform design. That means you can't just have like concrete here and asphalt here, you know, or concrete here and gravel here. It has to be, so it looks like you designed it, the two materials together.
Gotcha.
So,
You do the edges as a sand thing and gravel.
yeah, like if you did the edges and
I mean, what
stamp.
I was imagining was like a 45. I didn't draw it.
No, we can see from your site,
Yeah,
your
I
aerial
was
view here.
imagining a 45 where that edge, where the corner of that is, would be the middle of the approach.
Okay.
And then the 45 edges would be going up to that. I guess I could draw that, see if that would.
Yeah, the only thing on the again, to kind of reiterate, the only thing on the gravel is you can't just basically put loose gravel if that, it like, to fill in that gap, you have to put something on the edges.
Oh, no,
In
yeah,
order to make it be uniform with what you have existing, so you don't have to replace what you have existing.
Right.
I would maybe have one of these companies try and basically model so that way what they're putting as the edges looks uniform to
stamps.
what's already there. That way you don't have to redo it.
Yeah. And one of the things to keep in mind too is also, you kind of share your right of way with your neighbor to your right.
Right, that's my, like, every
So-
time I've came up to them, everybody's scratched their head and been like, because if I do that approach, it's the front of their house.
Yeah,
Like,
looking at it here, it's a strange.
yeah, so like, it's really taking into their,
So I would almost, if I was gonna recommend, I would say take your property line, your corner property line here,
Right.
and go at a 45-degree angle to
Right.
the street.
right,
And try and keep yours on your side of the 45.
Right.
And that way they can have theirs on theirs,
right, right.
and that way you maintain good neighbor friendships, by not going into their, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to say,
Well, and it's-
I have one part of the pie, you have the other part of the pie.
The house on the opposite side, the historic house, kind of has a similar condition, right? Coming out
Yeah, they,
kind of
theirs kind of goes
into their
They
driveway.
share a
They
driveway.
share the
yeah.
entry to the driveway.
But if
It's
that,
very-
my next door neighbor, if they ever wanted to do a circular driveway, I don't know how that would, it would be a grand circular driveway because that house is grand, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
So,
If straight out from the left side of his house, from like the outside of his house, he had that part be matched to his driveway, then there was where the next driveway right how as long as the right side is going all the way to the driveway. Transition of material that's that clear to that like bends like this, but doesn't necessarily go.
Are you talking about if for future, if the neighbor wants to do something?
Yeah, if they
I mean,
both are.
The neighbor has a driveway now. I mean, it's on the side of the house, but they have a driveway.
But like,
It's all
but
the
like
way
right
down
now,
the
I mean,
side.
if you,
The main, like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying they have a driveway, right?
Yeah.
but if you came out from like the end of your your sidewalk and went at a 45,
right,
kind of move your approach over towards the front of your house a little bit,
right.
and maybe did some blocks or something with gravel going up to it. You do have room in front of your house to put more of the approach.
Right. I
instead
was
of
thinking that to being like a double wide, the approach.
Mm.
And then, so if you see the corner of the driveway now, one side would be a car could go on that side, the other side could be a car could go on that side of that corner. So it's almost like a double wide approach where my driveway is a single wide.
I think this is a case where a drawing speaks 1,000
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
you know?
So if I
Picture-
did that,
picture
I would
says
have to
1,000
come
words.
back
I would
here
just-
and show that? Is that how it is?
What I would say.
I mean, if you wanted to like, just take this and draw on it right now and kind of like, take a few minutes. I mean, we have other people that we could. Yeah, if you want to do that and we can talk about it after, I mean, we could talk a few minutes. But that's kind of gives you a general idea. Also kind of keep in mind, you can't go over 40% of your front right away,
Right.
which is kind of a weird calculation considering the shape of
Yeah,
it.
Good luck with that one.
So, but does that kind of give you a little direction?
Yeah, and just to be clear, I do need to do something for that approach, correct?
Yes,
To be an ordinance.
yes.
The other part too is. Because it doesn't go over far enough, like we don't know really where to.
There, yeah, that's the other thing is, in between theirs and my house, there, I guess, was an alleyway, which if you look at the next door neighbor's backyard, that's kind of like at a 45, that's where the alleyway, so it's no man's land at that.
What I would say is when you're doing like the whatever the final application, probably make the most sense. neighbor's property line's nowhere close to like this page at all, right? Then you could go at more of a straighter angle and like you're not being a bad neighbor necessarily. But if their line is like goes to like here, right? And then you try and go on a wider approach because you're trying to widen it out. You can't go into their yard, but like we couldn't really actually vote on it because we don't know where it is. Like over here. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of, that's the thing that I'm sure whoever did my driveway first was like, that's gonna cost me a lot of money just to do that approach, and they just chose not to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you reference I mean, this aerial probably shows like a nice driveway, what you historically have been using apparently, right? I think that's probably the most logical approach at the end of the day.
Just to give you a little more reference too. I mean, back, there used to be, they wouldn't allow you to put anything in the right of way. So you couldn't even have a paved right, approach to your house in the right of way many years ago. So that could have also explained the reason why your driveway just stops at the property. You know? But I mean, it doesn't appear that the neighbor's property goes in front of yours. Looks like you probably come to a point. Your corner meets up with their corner, I would imagine.
No, mine kind of goes in the middle of their, or third of their property. Yeah, it's weird. If you look on Miami-Dade,
Yeah, I mean,
website,
it looks like it goes past it, although this isn't accurate.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
almost
well, yeah,
aligned
it
with
is
the
only
side of
about
it.
like maybe 10 feet. Mine goes in front of their property. But there's so much government property there that it's. Okay.
Like I said, if you just kind of maintain that 45 from where you're at, you
Yeah.
should be pretty, try and move it to the right so that it's approaching through you in front of your
on
place.
mine, yeah.
It'll help keep good neighbors.
All right, I'll draw something out.
I just wanted to say one more thing about your addition. I think that you have, since you don't meet the setback already, I don't think we could actually review a variance request for that addition because it would be, you're non-conforming and that would be increasing a non-conformity. So we wouldn't actually be able to
Right.
have that variance request. So
So that
That would be in-
whatever it is, that's not that my neighbor encroached on mine. It's just that my,
you are not meeting
Mine
your
was mine.
setback already, so we couldn't increase a non-conformity, so we couldn't
all right.
accept
was-
it.
It was a question. that I
Yeah,
just
so
wanted
it's
to-
a no.
But you also are candidate for an administrative variance from the manager for that additional 0.45 inches. The manager actually, it is in our code that they can give administrative variances for the existing structure. I'm not talking about the new thing. They're saying that, you know,
To make him conform.
to make it conforming, they're allowed to make variance, administrative variances up to a certain number. I'm not really sure, but it'll help you, it'll bring you into compliance with your existing house. So you wouldn't be out of compliance.
So
But,
right now it is as if it is out of compliance because it's not documented, I guess, in a way.
well, it's just that according to the survey, it is actually 0.45, whatever, into the setback.
Okay.
But it's such a, you know,
Yeah, we could have had it back then. Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
all right. Let's take care of Shepherd, 10710 Griffin Boulevard for a driveway.
The contractor of Shepherd, Mr. Shepherd, presenting a driveway.
Was this before us before? Was this here last week? Shepherd? No? You're going to maintain your 3 feet on the side. you're saying that in the front yard, you're gonna be 37%?
Yeah.
And in this right of way, you're gonna be approach, is that 31? Got your 3-foot setback, you've got the, what are you doing in between the pavers?
Grass.
Grass, it is gonna be grass? Okay. Motion to approve. Yeah, got the setback.
There's a thing that's labeled existing columns. Almost looks like a fence.
Yeah, they actually have a
it-
gate, they have a
a
fence and a
gate.
gate.
Okay, so this is one of the grandfathered.
No, they actually got a variance. They got a variance about 10 years ago, for the gates.
Different
The
commission.
wall was existing and they came in for the gates and, they got a variance. Just at the time, gave it to them. So, one of the few houses with gates in the front. I had a motion. Did I have a second?
Second.
Scarlett, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good, thank you, sir.
All right, thank
Um, Right, so, hello, Alex. Let's go with Pantano, 11728 Northeast Sixth Avenue for a fence.
Mark, Laura's out of town. Just bought the house. We had a pool. Having that one. We're having a question on it. We went on the website. Requirements for it. And it's confusing, but we're not sure what is considered by the state our front versus our side. I wasn't really having this. I mean, I have pictures I can send.
Well, I mean, just your address, right, pretty much dictates your front door faces Sixth
Okay,
Avenue, correct?
We essentially, where is our front door?
Your front door faces Sixth Avenue, correct?
That's what, see, we have multiple entrances. We don't know which one's considered our front.
Your address. So if your address is
Is the
yada yada
sixth,
Northeast
okay,
Sixth
so-
Avenue, that's your.
So then, I remember reading on there, it can't fill the whole, can't go around the whole house.
No.
So I guess what we wanted to know is where would we, and we drew up a couple of options to see if any of these would apply.
Okay.
We just kind of want, I have black. and white.
Doing great so far.
Yeah. that was-
You wanna know
Yeah, well, these are all.
So we have.
So, so first off, let me just, you can't put anything in the front, so that's
Okay,
kind of
nothing in
out.
the front.
Okay. And all these actually
these
are,
have
have something in the
front,
front.
yeah.
So I'll just kind of give you a description really quick.
Thank you. Sorry.
You are allowed to have, because you're a corner lot, you are allowed to have a bump out in the front. So it's max of, what do you have there? 24 feet? Okay, so that's 14, so you have a maximum of 9.50 that you can come out, because you can't be any closer, that you can't be closer than 15 feet. No closer, no closer. Okay, so that's the area right here, okay? Now over here, because you have a very funky yard.
Yeah.
You actually are allowed to go from here and go across like this, okay?
So we can
So-
fill that whole side.
You can, but here's your limitations, okay? So this, let me do it this way. So at 3 feet back, you can be 4 feet high. At 5 feet back, you can be 5 feet high. At 6, or I'm sorry, 7 feet, 7 feet back, you can be 6 foot high. So that's gonna dictate that.
And is that just for that side?
Yeah,
These
you,
height
you-
requirements?
yeah, you can't go past the front corner of the house. Over here, you can go past the front corner of the house here, but no closer than 15 feet to the
Street,
property
or
line.
the
Property
oh,
line. These are all property lines, not street, not
Okay.
the street.
So there's like, the hedge to separate the sidewalk.
Yeah, because you can't, again, no closer than 3, 5, 7.
You said that, so like, so how the.
No,
So
you
this
can, I
is
mean,
all yard right
yeah,
here.
you
This
can,
is all
you
yard.
could subdivide your lot this way however you'd like.
Oh, okay.
Because you have the right to go do a fence all the way around your property, on your
Okay.
property line there.
If you want to go just inside.
You can.
Yeah, so we can fence off that whole property as long as we stay
Yeah.
true to the.
Well, these are, these are the heights, but they all do have to be uniform. They have to be a
So if we
Form
go
height.
with 4 feet here, we have to have that all.
I'll give you that. I just gave you,
Thank you so
but
much.
that's kind of gives you a little,
Thank you. That's-
I'll pretend like I didn't hear that you said the word duplex, because you're not actually in a, you're not in a duplex
I
zone.
wasn't using the right word.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yep. So now you have the information, so you just have to next figure out what you want and then apply for it.
Just remember too, when you apply for it, you need to put somewhere on there that any of the gates that are going to where the pool is, unless the pool has its own little net going around it, that any of the gates going to it
How
are
are you?
self-closing gates.
You're on the agenda. Okay.
Otherwise, we have to stay.
I recognize you well.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, we do, Alex, let's just finish, we have one more resident and then we'll get to you. Let's, building C, Tudor, 725 Northeast 113th Street. Door to door. How you doing, Commissioner?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Hi.
I miss being in this building. It's kind of,
So, you're doing, is this in the back of the house?
yeah, back of the house, currently there's an impact window.
Okay.
There's a rear bathroom there. So that impact window, we're actually going to remove that, widen it out and put a single impact door there.
It'll be white like all the rest?
Yeah, white like all the rest, full pane, clear glass.
Okay. Any other questions on the board?
I think we're clear and we're fine with it, but in the application schedule, the description, you put single hung, and that's actually what it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, it does
Yeah,
say that.
yeah.
So they may have, close to the next apartment, they may be confused and say, well.
It's a single door,
door, but you have
Yeah,
hung.
single
like
door.
a single light door.
Yeah, and the product, just make sure that that product acceptance number, the product approval is for the door.
Yeah,
right, that you want
Yeah,
to
it
use.
is.
Otherwise.
Thanks. All right,
Motion to approve?
Manny,
Motion to
David?
approve.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a
We're
good night.
good. Thanks. Yep. All right, let's go to, you have something for us quick or? Okay, can you just show it to me really quick and we'll pass it down. We're going back up to Chandler 11001. Yeah, that's pretty straight. You may consider maybe moving over a little bit to give yourself one more. But I would say that's a good safe thing is that, you know, you're kind of going from your property line 45 out towards to the street. So you just, when you're ready, do an application, show the design, and it's got to be uniform. So like David said, maybe do some borders. There's a really cool house up at like 120th and Griffin that did a really cool driveway with gravel and concrete. You might want to drive by and take a look at it. It kind of gets it, yeah, get some inspiration. Actually, somebody here is on the board's house. So just give you an idea of how somebody incorporated gravel and concrete into the, you know, their right of way and everything. Yeah, we have a palette of colors now for stamped concrete. So there's actually a ring at the village hall, right? The stamp, it could be concrete driveway colors. Yes. There's a ring that are pre-approved colors, but it needs to be approved by us. You know, they're approved colors, but they still needed to come through us because we want to make sure you don't do like a pink driveway and a bright orange house. You know, they have to be harmonious. Yeah, so when you're applying for the permit. Exactly. Perfect, thank you. All right. Good evening, sir. How are you? All right. Alex David from the village, I guess. Talk about the land development modification. Alvin Giordano, right? Giordano, right? Everybody have their packet or their phone, their in the computer? All right, where's yours?
All right. Good evening. I'm Alex David with Calvin Giordano. It's on?
Yeah, you can hear, but maybe pull it towards you a little bit.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Alex David with Calvin Giordano Associates. Jenna Fioli was to be here tonight, but he had a previous meeting, so we're double teaming tonight. So there are three sections of your land development code that we are proposing to amend. The definition section of the code. I'm going to do the easier ones first. The definition section of the code, which is chapter 2, we are proposing to add a few definitions in that section to you know, we found things that we think were missing, like grade and lot coverage and a few other things, buildable area. So we actually added, are proposing to add some definitions to that's chapter 2. And I'm going to jump to chapter 17.8, planning and zoning fee schedule. This always bothered me for years. You had your zoning map and your land development standards behind the fee schedule. So we're proposing to delete the map and standards from that location and move it up to where it should be in chapter 10. So that's the simple change. Just to get it, we feel in the right place. It's cut and paste, exactly. Moving the map and moving the chart to another section of your code instead of having people try to find it back under the fee schedule. It's where it should be.
It was always weird. You had to like scroll back.
You're not the only one, trust me. You're not the only village or municipality that has something strange like that. So that's the only change in 17. So I just wanted to get those out of the way very quickly. So, but going back to definitions, the definitions additions are highlighted in green, hoping you have a color copy of
Yeah.
the document. There's several, we added the buildable area, grade, lot coverage, open
And I
space.
figure what we do is let you go through it all and then each one of us can ask you questions.
Okay.
Move it
So,
through.
so those were the definitions. So do you want to stop at the definitions or should I go into?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go through let's just do the definitions really quick. You got another question, sir?
It's
gonna
a
be a
while.
It'll be a while.
Yes. No, not the street, property line. You can't go in front of your house. It can only be in that front corner. Yeah, and right now, I think you said I think your property is 24 feet from the property line. So you can't be closer than 15 feet to the property line. So you can go,
In that part that juts forward, but that doesn't cross in front of the house.
What are you saying is max 9.5 feet? That's the most you can come forward.
15 plus.
Yeah, he was doing the math. Yes, no problem.
You're welcome. Yeah, I guess, so real quick, you ready? Okay. So, just on grade, is this establishing a grade as far as like anything to do with base floodplain or anything like
No,
that?
this is just.
Describing what grade is,
dirt.
okay.
Yep, we'll be starting from.
Okay.
But it's how you're defining the establishment of the height,
Correct.
I believe should be from base flooded, not from dirt.
Is that what this says?
Yeah, this definition of grade is the average grade or the adjacent grade of the finished lot surface. And then that's how you determine the height, which I don't think is how we should do it. Proper kind of resilient way to do it, and it's consistent, and it means everyone in the area is going to have similar heights. If they're not saying, well, my grade and they're not penalized if their lot grade is 3 feet below flood, and they have to raise their first floor to flood, but we're telling them the height from the grade of the property. I just think it's the proper way.
Well, why don't I add, we could add a definition, keep grade as grade, it's the dirt, and then finish floor elevation, which is part of your building code anyway, but we could.
Yeah, just because I guess the problem here is that it says, for the purpose of regulating the number of stories and the height of the building. So if you're going to use this definition for purposes of regulating the height, that's the problem. I think regulating the height should be from base flood elevation.
How is there a map that shows the base flood elevation for Biscayne Park or?
Of course, yeah.
You should, every municipality has the FEMA.
Yeah.
There's a FEMA map.
Yeah, but I just don't want to, end up having houses on pedestals that are, 4 feet above the grade of the land around it. I get nervous about that.
I get you, but I think that's something like as in South Florida, like that, right? They should, even if it's creates a pedestal effect, they're going to be underwater in a few years, right? So, and the thing is that they're not going to have a choice, right? FEMA is going to make them build their house at that elevation. So it's not a zoning question. So the question is, if they have to raise their first floor 3 feet above grade to meet FEMA regulations, but we tell them the max height of your first floor is 10 feet from grade, now they've got a 7 foot.
No, I understand. I totally get it. But then if that's the case, then we need to be more proactive with having the lot graded so that we don't have the pedestal. So we need to have language in here that says, okay, if you do have a 3 foot pedestal, the lot needs to be graded in a way that it does not appear that way, so.
That's almost impossible, I think. You have to worry about drainage to adjacent
Yeah, then
properties
you have to
too.
create these
So,
swales on your property that you're
I
not
called
draining
it,
down into.
I used to call it the Key Biscayne effect after Hurricane Andrew, when the county went in and made all the new houses or they raised the houses 3 or 4 feet. Well, they basically put them up on a pile of dirt and all the rain and water went to the neighboring properties. You had this effect of houses up here down here. So, you know, whatever we do, we need to even the playing.
But how
level
have
the
other
playing-
municipalities dealt with this?
I'm sorry?
How have other municipalities dealt with this so that you don't have a,
I
that,
mean, look,
that,
City of Miami Beach has a policy called freeboard, where
Right.
actually you're allowed to go 5 feet higher than FEMA regulations. So again, they're looking long-term, thinking about flooding. So you have houses that are quite elevated adjacent to older homes. But you have to, there's just a blanket policy that you have to maintain storm drainage on your property.
Right.
So you swell your property line.
So, and then in other municipalities, they've raised the grade of property, but have had, you know, homeowners put in basically retaining walls.
Yeah, proper civil systems, right? They have proper French drains along their property lines. Again, I don't know how much of this is really gonna affect. I mean, I don't know what the average grade is in the village, and if we're really gonna have a home that's base flood is 6 feet above their
Right, I mean, you're pretty
existing
standard, it's
grade.
not like you have hills.
Yeah. Well, all my only concern is measuring height from existing grade. I don't think that should.
Right.
is the flood grade, like, is it based on, or does the top of the road have anything to do with it?
I'm not sure, that's the
Scarlett would,
building,
you know.
I don't know if,
Some cities.
Yeah, some cities.
right, it's the average grade of the road, but others are just grade of the property, others are average crown of the road, that's,
There are many
That's how they
ways to skin the
measure
cat.
height,
right,
yeah.
there are
Existing
many
grade,
ways.
average crown of road, base flood elevation.
So let me just ask, like, when you do your presentation with the village, or the commission, I mean, if we look at our flood map, I mean, you probably, I mean, I think isn't Biscayne Park basically like 7 feet, 7 to 9
Yeah,
feet? or
everyone's at 7.
Yeah, so we're saying, okay, the majority of the park is at 7, the base flood is gonna be 9. So this is this is the potential impact of what we're talking about. You know, I don't know if we have any lower areas that are 5, 4, unless maybe you're along.
Yeah, the question is, what are the differences in the actual grade? I don't know. I mean, yes, the village is
Alex, do we have
7,
FEMA
base
maps
flood.
coming out soon? Do we have a new FEMA map coming out soon for
Yeah,
Miami?
the drafts
Already
are out.
Drafts are out.
And actually, it shows parts of Biscayne Park.
Oh,
How we're going backwards.
So, I mean, I think on this, I would like to add a definition, but just, you know, be aware of the, you know, finished floor elevation changes over time, you know, then that's an issue too. But we could add the finished floor elevation definition, and that's where your height.
Okay, all right. I just want to have two,
Base flood elevation.
Or whatever you get, you know, whatever you
Yeah,
think
I
is
mean, I think you
best.
just need to add a definition. Grade makes sense, right? You're talking about what is grade.
Right.
But I think there should be a base flood elevation definition, and that's where we measure height in stories from,
Not finished floor, base.
base flood elevation.
Yeah, and we also want to make sure that we have that because we also don't want to turn around and have a developer, somebody come in and that says, okay, I want to build my house up an additional 3 feet above grade. And we have an actual way, or not grade, but base flood.
Yeah.
And we actually have a tool to come back and say, no, your house, you know.
Well, you're welcome to, but you're gonna have a 6-foot first floor.
Right.
Yeah,
You're shrinking the overall height of your.
yeah, by doing that. I don't have any other comments on this. Anybody else on the board? Annie?
lot coverage, I feel like, I know it just says, but not limited to, but, we might want to not list specific things because might get us like just thinking about those things and then other things not coming, just thinking about those and then we're like, oh, that's not on there and then, I don't know, like sometimes when I'm I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
That it comes
I mean,
across almost more
that might,
exclusionary. by
yes,
accident.
yeah, by accident. I don't know, like I would rather not have like specific things listed and maybe more general.
Yeah, well, our interpretation basically is anything that's developed on the property.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Anything that's
anything that's.
Impervious,
covering
make it
the-
impervious.
Well,
Yeah.
again, that's what I was gonna
Impervious,
say is
impervious,
it's
Yeah.
impervious
so-
versus impervious.
Right, just be like
But
much
it-
more general. of just
But
the-
that's, I don't agree with the impervious part because then it leads yourself into like, I'm gonna wrap
Structure.
my entire yard and it's
Right.
impervious.
No, but
You
like.
know,
just say-
I think the idea is to try
like
and keep
any
green
structure.
space, try to keep max a 50% green space on the lot.
Just say more like any structure.
But is a driveway or a walkway a structure? That's the problem, so that's why we typically give examples in the code. I mean,
You call it any non-organic, material, I don't know, but I get Gage's point that we don't want people just saying like gravel the whole lot.
it's just still pervious.
Yeah, we don't want to say, that's why he doesn't want
Right.
you to use the definition.
You want grass.
50% pervious, but.
I think the intent is to keep 50% green space. So you want to,
I mean, we could change it to buildings or other impervious structures, other impervious.
I don't want to use impervious.
No, you don't want to use, okay.
It's like a maximum 50% developed.
No, you, Alex. I not.
Okay, so Scarlett will email, but we'll get rid of all the, examples.
I mean, I'm not 100% against that personally, but if we could come up with a general language that conveys what we're looking for. On the definitions, Manny, any questions?
I have a question. I want to know, why is it that you're using 260? What is the meaning? And a little bit when you say singular. Singular includes.
Wait, I'm
plural
sorry,
and the
I'm having
plural includes
difficulty hearing you.
singular. I'm sorry. Okay, on 2260.
2260.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit when is it that you use?
Something you edit. It's
Sorry?
not one of your edits.
Of singular.
Yeah. So I was just going through all of them and I don't know, I can't really find an application for that definition, why it ended up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lawyer put that in at some point, but
Why it
I mean,
ended up being.
truthfully, I've never seen that in a definitions. It's typically in another set of area up front explaining the doc. So this is an odd, I agree with you, but
It's.
I
you
could
know,
delete
you're
it.
Reading, trying to get
That's your task on
the
this.
knowledge and but. this thing-
well, then we have to go back to open space, which is 2.251. Maybe-
The only other thing was actually that guy that was just here might be helpful is the 2.255, the primary frontage. That very end of it says which faces the primary street.
Mhm.
Is there any way of maybe adding something that says like per or dictated by what the street address,
Well,
property address is? 'Cause That's how.
We already have that.
I think you do have it. Some
Yeah,
cities are different. Some, the narrowest, the narrowest.
it's in the lot lines
parcel is
front.
The front, no matter what the address is, and in your case, it's the address, I would go by that.
Yeah, it's under 2.2.39. It's
Yeah, so I guess the question is, why did we feel the need to add primary frontage? It's already addressed elsewhere in the definition.
on 2.2.39.
Yes, that was what my original point was.
Well, but when we get to the other section that we're changing, it makes, we'll go into detail on that.
Yeah, so as a segue to that, I want to talk about a couple of these lot definitions that I brought up before, Gage, that I still disagree with the way that we are enforcing this day in and day out. So if you go to 2.239 and 2.241, so we're defining here what's your front, what's your side, what's your rear, what's your interior side, what's your exterior side, right? So lot lines front. In the case of a corner lot occupied by a building, the front lot line shall be determined by the location of the front door of the dwelling, right? Which we go by the address, right? So that's your front lot line on a corner lot. Then under 2.241, lot line side A side lot line separating a lot from a street is an exterior side lot line. So to me, every corner lot in this village that we are enforcing front setbacks on two sides is wrong. They have one front, the one that is the front door side. Other one is an exterior side, which have a side setback, not a front setback. And this goes into what you did in the diagrams. If you're doing the same thing in the diagrams, you're penalizing corner lots.
Right.
30
Typically,
front, 30
they're
side.
called side street setbacks. I mean, that's
Yeah, but
typically
I'm
what
saying
they're
you're
called.
applying the 30-foot, which is the same that we apply in the front, right? I don't agree. The code to me says that a corner lot has one front, and then it has an exterior side, and that exterior side is a side, and therefore it should have a 10-foot setback.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that one.
But but disagree not because that's how you've always done it. Tell me what the code says. The code says pretty clearly that it's a side. And to penalize these tiny corner lots with two fronts doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, especially because of how many.
And I don't think that's ever been the intent.
Yeah, and
Well, it is the intent. I mean, if you look at the village, it's all 30-30. I mean, just go out and look up and down the streets. Everything is all lined up both ways. You know, that is the intent of the code.
Okay, then this should be corrected because that's not what the code says.
But isn't there a house right here, corner, 2 lots? That's pretty, it faces the avenue, but it's very narrow.
That's one of the ones that's carved out on the
Over here,
the
right?
7th Avenue ones. They're one of the old historic ones that are closer to the front. That if they got, there's a carve out for them.
Yeah, but typically there's a side setback and a side street.
Yeah, but in both cases, they are sides, right? We basically say to a corner lot, you have two fronts. That's not what the code says. It clearly says you have one front, the one your front door is right. You have one exterior side.
Yeah, that's an
the one
issue
that
above
separates your
my
lot
pay
from the
grade,
street.
but yeah, I know, but like I said, typically if side setback in a lot of cities is like 10 feet, side street, just because of the corner and all that.
Okay, but then then when we have the setback chart, add side street, because we don't have that. We have front, side, and rear. We're applying the front. So in our residential sector table, setbacks, we just have street, rear, and side. So is it? I don't know, to me, it clearly says here it's a side setback. Exterior side versus interior side. So if that's what we want to do, I just think it's not very explicit here, and maybe this is the opportunity to make it more explicit.
But I don't see the it's basically just saying that there's two different types of side lot lines. There's a front inside lot line or outside exterior lot line.
Correct. They're both sides. They're not.
But then above it in 2.2.39, it carves out the corner lots.
Yeah, and it tells you which is the front.
But it
of the
doesn't
corner
say
lot.
that, it doesn't say that both should be treated as. front.
Exactly, that's my point. It tells you on a corner lot, only one of the frontages is a front. The other is an exterior side.
So then you would want that should be.
Otherwise, what's the even purpose of making this distinction of interior side, exterior side? Like, you know, clearly trying to say that a corner lot has a front and an exterior side and an interior side and a rear. Just something to talk about, because if I had a corner lot and I'm an architect, I'd come in here and bust our chops all day long saying, you're not enforcing the code properly, and I'm gonna, go get my lawyer or something, because I don't think that's what the code says.
I mean, do you see up in 2.2.3? I mean, we're kind of getting way off on a tangent here, but 2.2.37 defines a lot having two such frontages shall be known as dual frontage.
Yeah, but that's,
Dual fronts, two fronts.
but what is a dual fronted lot? What's the definition of a lot that's considered a dual frontage lot?
Is that the same as the through lot? Your rear is actually on a street and the front is,
Again,
or was it something
it's not a
else?
corner, it's a dual frontage.
Or corner?
Okay. We gonna listen to this presentation, or are we gonna negotiate the corner side yards at this point?
Well, just that the next part of the presentation has a diagram that shows a 30-foot setback on a corner lot, and I'm saying I don't agree that's the code.
Like, any other questions, Lisa?
Okay, so I'm going to move on to chapter 10. So on the first page, we've added the section 10.2.5 and 2.6, which is, again, it's just cutting and pasting, excuse me, the zone, the map, and the sector's development standards table into chapter 10. So there was no change to anything in those
So
new
the
sections.
part that says 10.2.5, A, B, C, D, that's all from another part that you move forward?
I'm sorry, we did add that language. Yeah, that's the, actually, I'm sorry. I remember we did add that language just to describe better the map. But then the standard, the 2.6 is the same.
But all these, like, where a sector boundary divides a lot, the location of such boundary unless the same is indicated by dimensions.
That's all new.
That's all new. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
But is this a pretty standard thing
That-
that
yeah,
that's in most land development
This
codes?
is very standard, so that's why Giano, said, let's put this stuff, these new subsections in here.
I would like to point out that my firm, the Cordino Group, is on this map.
My former company's on the map too. So it's just, like I said, we just took the map as is and moved it.
Were those two things on the map all this time?
Yeah, since since when?
Oh.
It's been-
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Oh, that's interesting. I never really noticed it.
Yeah, I know. It's,
Just to comment on number 3, D3. It's the planning board that interprets the land development code.
Oh, it is? Okay. And the map.
Yeah. I mean, since we're completely plotted out, I mean, I don't foresee really a lot of disputes on boundary or lot lines and locations and things like that. I would imagine they're probably pretty set by this point.
Right. I mean, in a number of jurisdictions, the zoning boundaries go to the center line of the roadway. But you have streets, so your sectors are only on the properties themselves, not, it doesn't go to the center line.
Well, it does on some.
What
I
you're
mean,
saying is what you're saying is true. It's platted, and there's no sector designation, no sector that goes into the street.
Okay. Um, Questions on anything up to the chart and the standards table? Well, it's actually interesting, the properties that abut the canal actually own half of the canal. You look at the surveys, they go out to the middle of the canal.
That's why I was saying, based off of this, like the red lines have to like the part, so body shows up there that this.
So they,
why does the boundary go? But it's not a canal.
Kind of zigzags in and out there.
kind of zigzag, yeah.
Is that correct though? Because it's the water management.
I mean, we could,
Canal.
I say we throw a body in there.
I mean, it should, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's been like this for years, but you know, I could look to see if we need.
It probably doesn't really matter, but.
It is interesting, but maybe call the Cardino group.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just odd. I've seen worse, you know, so with municipal boundaries, so, but it does seem strange that it does go to the other side of the canal, that, you know, probably not. So.
There's something, you know, really funky with that line, because like, it's interesting, if you look at that house on the other side of the canal, that 6th Avenue goes right next to, they actually own the property. Part of their lot is on the other side of 6th Avenue. It has a little tiny triangle there. It's kind of funny if you look at the property appraiser website.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm not surprised. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of stuff.
All right, the tables, I guess. Question on the table for residential sector D, which is the community residential. I guess it's just I mean, it's literally that lot.
It's one.
That's-
One.
Hold on, where am I at?
No,
It's right, it's the lot that the village hall is sitting on.
Right,
Yeah.
it's the administrative building.
Yeah, right there, yeah. So it would just be the same setbacks, yeah, I guess I was wondering if we needed to have this chart for that, but I guess it's just, so. All right, so you want to go into 10.3.3?
So after the table, we just kind of try to standardize, you know, with graphics, the couple of sectors you have showing basically the buildable area of the building, your setbacks for each residential sector, and where within the envelope you can build a structure.
Can I ask on the chart, the little gray area, half of it or quarter of it has the little hash marks for horizontal lines. Why is that there? What is that for?
You're talking about B, C, and D?
Yeah.
That's your density. So your density, your in B, C, and D, your density is, as it says, dwelling units per gross acre. So in B, the minimum is 2.1 up to 6, and they're all the same. So the maximum density per gross acre would be 6 in those three sectors. Whereas A has the large, in theory, the larger lots and lower density per acre.
But I still understand what that vertical line and then all the little hash marks are.
Like how it looks like stairs going up.
Which, oh, that's the roof?
Like a trellis?
The roof line? I know, that's a roof.
Like
but
the stairs?
I'm not the graphic, yeah, that's a roof. It's like the pitch. You know. I'm not the architect, so.
I'm not following. What is it?
That's to denote the roof? You're talking about the horizontal, yeah.
Oh,
Well, so everybody has really weird roofs.
Yeah, I don't know how you show it graphically, but we could take it off if you want and just have a gray box showing.
Yeah, I mean.
just,
No, it's just, they explained it to me, it's like so.
yeah, because
um,
it kind of lines up with the side setback, but it doesn't really,
Oh, no, it's trying to say that's a 50-foot setback.
No, the
Yeah, yeah, I
horizontal,
know, but
yeah, the
it lines up with
horizontal
It
lines.
does
Yeah,
on
but
A.
it doesn't for any of the
The
others.
rest, no. So that's why,
Oh,
like, A, it looks
oh,
like it has a purpose. Rest.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So I'll just have him delete the
Yeah, I think.
horizontals,
One big box.
one big box.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Did our setback in the roof?
Nope.
Oh, it's always been 10.
And that's one thing, that has always stumped me. Can anyone explain why they did a 10-foot rear? Way back when? So minimal.
it could be, they'll throw something to the corner lots. People, because there are some corner lots that go right up to that 10 feet on the back.
Also for accessory structures. people who have-
Garages, things.
Right, but usually they're called out as accessory buildings or
Yeah,
something
with a different
separate.
setback, right?
Yeah, a different setback from the main structure, so
But our code says that accessory structures have the same, so
they have the same setback.
they just
Right.
pull it together,
Right.
Do you want to go through the language of 10.3.3?
So to set the parameters, I guess, Giano and Dominic will work together in our tactical urbanism department. They felt that, this is the starting point. We needed to add certain parameters, start the discussion within the code. Dealing with the orientation of the building, we spoke about frontages and building mass, etc. So that's the 10.3.3 section.
Okay.
And again, these are his expert opinions, discussions, thought, thinking about the village, two-story residential, two-story residences. So again, this is the first stab at the thoughts to allow more articulation, specifically on the second floor residences, so they're not the big cute boxes overlooking the neighbors, which was what we heard in December, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we did it. Are we wedded to these numbers? No, but it's a starting discussion point. And as an architect, I rely on you all, to help us make this even better. So
First of all, I want to commend you. I think it's actually kind of the direction that we were thinking, or at least my personally were thinking. It's providing all of the concerns that we're looking for.
Right.
Neighbor privacy.
Right.
Windows overlooking sides. Boxes. Stacking the mass towards the middle of it.
Right.
You do you explain me 10.3 3B4. It says a maximum 100% the building frontage may be allowed to be placed on the rear setback line. Does that mean if the house is oriented all the way to the back? Like, how does that work in relation to the 80%? Fairly good lease, but I reconcile in my head how.
It's not asking you to step in your second floor at the front.
Okay, you
Step
can go
in.
all the way to the end of the.
right. I mean, yeah, and I had a question about, I commented on the frontage when the rear, but he said that's the term that they use. So, but you're correct. One commissioner who was here mentioned he didn't like the fact that the two-story, if there were two two-story homes, sharing at the rear, they'd be 20 feet apart. But the concern was more from that workshop on the sides. So that's kind of what we dealt with.
Personally, I read it, but I didn't like any of this because like a lot of the houses around where I am have floors or ones that are there. Like my house, I want to add a second floor at some point, but I want to leave the front roof line alone. Front roof alone, but with a block existing back part. So I wouldn't be exceeding any of the total percent that you can do or whatever, but in essence, if the only part that you're adjusting is the back part, not building on like the front 2/3, then you're still being penalized with the side pieces. So that's like my house is 2,600 square feet, and if I just went up on the back part, I should be able to put on about the second floor, but off of this, then I have to take off. Even though from the street, like, because what this is going to do is it's going to make everything look like a Wild West town. Because everything's going to be really big and boxed in the front line as everybody's driving by, because that's where they can put all of their extra square footage. Okay.
And that was our direction. I mean,
Yeah.
to the front, because you have such a big setback in the front, 50 feet. People weren't concerned about that. It was again the size. So that was our direction.
Well, I think that our actual recommendation, we did have additional setback for the second floor on the front. I think the recommendation of the planning board, and actually that was one of my notes on it was, having the entire 100% of the front being able to be 2 stories. Right now you're requiring 80% of the sides. Why not make 80% of the front? If it's all trying to maintain planes,
I'm not an architect, so how structurally is that doable or not?
well, it's more doable than structural than doing it on the sides. But I mean, like, if somebody wants to do that, they have to set it back, or, I'm just concerned is that, we have a lot of low single-story homes
Right,
at 30 feet, and all of a sudden we're going to start letting people go up however many feet that we're doing from there, without any type of a relief of at least saying, you're allowed to do with, some kind of pushback. So my thing is on my comment, if I'll make it, is on the frontage placement, was just having a percentage of the second floor, because it says 80% of the. Hold on. It references interior side setbacks, but it doesn't say anything about any type of retire. And in your chart says any type of requirement for the front to have any type of relief from a 2-story wall, basically. I guess my point I'm trying to get out is, avoiding having these massive, just linear, 2-story walls.
Right.
And then also the same thing would be, I did note, does number 4, the maximum 100% of the building frontage may be allowed to be placed on the rear property line. So that means 2 stories on the rear property line, or just the first floor on the rear property line?
No, it means you can have a 2-story wall in the back.
In the back, up to the 10-foot property line.
So, but then there's a diagram, just, for reference, but in the diagram, the existing, what's allowed existing, which is your 2-story block, box, whatever. And then with these conditions, or these, the placement conditions, you have a proposed, which is on page 13. So again, we were planning, do we want it to be so prescriptive or not? I mean, is there flexibility? I mean, I don't like to be too,
But I don't like being overly.
But if
so
you,
that's kind of, we tried our best, but if there's tweaking, let's.
no, first of all, it's great, but if you're gonna, like on page 10, the existing box.
Yep.
I mean, if you're gonna be truthful about this, you should take that box and go all the way back to the property line. or to the setback in the back.
Back to the setback.
I mean,
yeah.
it should be that entire space should be boxed out, that's what you can do now, not just
Yeah.
this arbitrary number.
It gets very challenging because then you also can't go over 50%.
Yeah, I know, but but he's defining the envelope that it's basically you're allowed to build in. You know, not saying that you can do that, but you could go all the way to that back property line at 2 stories currently. So if you wanted to really make that more realistic, you could box that entire development space and then put, you know, obviously, you know, pending lot coverage or something like that, you know.
Just a couple of questions about what appear to be contradictions in this language, whether or not we agree with the language. So, for example, 10.3.3A2, you say that if there's a garage in the front plane has to be set back 5 feet from the remainder. But then directly below that on part B, number 1, you say that you can have 100% of the first floor at the first floor setback, right? So not if there's a garage, right? So there's a bit of contradiction there.
So, yeah, I noticed that. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the 5 feet behind. I read that.
Yeah, which I would just strike the garage part personally, but that's a different issue, right? As a separate comment, I don't agree with the 5-foot setback from the garage, right? But I'm saying right now you're saying you have 100% of your frontage at the front property line. But then the line before that, you mentioned if you have a garage.
Right, if you have a garage. If you don't have a garage, then.
Yeah, so it just kind of, I get it, but it reads a little bit contradictory. But more importantly, so under point 4, you have, oh no, sorry, not point 4. Under C.1, you say building massing volumes for habitable uses above the ground floor shall prioritize their placement within the rear 2/3. But then your diagram on the next page has it all shut front. So which is it?
It doesn't let me. All I want to do and what I see around my house, they'll have a pitch roof on the front, on the back. That's what.
It also, it says you maximize 100% of the building frontage should be allowed to be placed in the rear setback, but the graphic doesn't show that either.
Yeah, you would need like an eye, the shape of an eye, capital I. Right?
The graphic
Because
shows
because the back could be
Yeah.
fully vertical, the front could be fully vertical, the sides have to have some kind of erosion, let's call it. But again, you're saying here that you should prioritize shoving the second floor in the back, but then the diagram is
Right, the graphic shows the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, a good thing would be like the garage could be put under B1 as, you know, letter A, you know, because it's a carve out, you know, of the front facade.
Say that again? The garage?
So like if, like what Ed brought up is that, you know, number 2 of A2 should actually be below B1A, because what happened is you're calling out 100% facade. And then you're going to say, okay, but if you have a garage, the garage has to be pushed back 5 feet. You know, you're creating the carve out there.
on
Yeah,
that.
so that's just moving that thing down below.
But and just that I understood this correctly. Saying the garage is oriented sideways, it's allowed to be
Yeah, I'd want that to be clear because there are, and this is the problem when you get too prescriptive like this, that you start to kind of handcuff design.
Right, I know. That's why we wanted
There
to
are
avoid.
properties,
Right.
like we just approved one where garage actually projects forward of the main elevation as a mass, but you kind of pull into it from the side. And there's actually multiple houses in the village that have that, right?
Yeah, but the door doesn't face the
It
street.
doesn't face the street, so it would have to be just a little cleaner and clear that you're only concerned if a garage door faces the street, right? Otherwise, the garage itself could actually bump forward of the house, not bump back. But you just have to enter from the side.
If facing the primary street, okay, so garage doors facing it's in 2. It's facing the front. The garage doors are facing the front, and that's what we're talking about. If they're on the side,
Yeah.
It's not an issue.
right, it's not an issue.
Only thing I would say about that is that, I don't know, 90% of the homes in the village that have garages are in the same plane of the front of the house, right?
Right.
This really, we want to change that is that really heartache for the village in terms of, I mean, everyone has that. Do or do not?
I don't.
But, okay, 90%,
So, but,
right? I mean,
you
let's
know,
drive around, how many homes with
This
garages?
is why we're relying on you. We
Yeah.
can change it the way you know, and then.
But it's also, we're setting something moving forward too, you know?
Yeah, but I think the priority here is, okay, we're worried about the McMansion thing. But we're talking about the massing, the second floor, all this is like good, thoughtful directions to the code moving forward, because what the problem, this is not a problem. Garage doors, right? It's not the problem that we need to be, right? So I don't think this really is important.
That's
The
fine by
massing
me,
issue.
but yeah, the massing, but you all, I won't be here in your shoes, so you have to interpret this thing. So how can we make it easier for you all to interpret, I guess? Allow flexibility for design.
Well, and that's
But
what these percentile kind of things I think work, right? Gives you opportunity to treat that differently. We don't end up with a bunch of homes that look identical, right? I like that. I don't like the garage doors to be 5 foot back. I don't like wall planes greater than 600 square feet should be set forward or back. Like, that one under the articulation part D, you already have number 1, wall planes are encouraged to be designed such an enterprise movement articulation. Number 2, facade articulation accentuate. Okay, that's enough, right? That's the kind of the goal of design. And
So
we get to
forget
evaluate
3,
why the
basically.
600 square foot
Right,
suddenly
yeah.
gets restricted. I think you cover it in the first 2
So
points.
recommendation is to delete the 600 square foot.
Yeah, and it gives us the latitude to say, hey, the code says you have to articulate the facade, and if someone comes with a big massive wall,
Then
we
you all.
address it here and we say,
Right,
we don't like
right.
that, right?
Oh, good point.
But I agree. I agree with that. That's kind of was weird, like the 600, I'm sitting here in my head trying to calculate out like,
I know it's 20 by 30, but that's all. Like other
Yeah.
than that.
I don't know if I disagree. I think maybe I disagree with the garage. If not a garage, then my concern is that if we don't provide for something like that, the way it's written right now is that we could have just a solid wall all the way across. You could literally just have a wall on the front of the house without any undulations on the front, if I'm reading this correctly. It's calling out undulations on the sides.
Provide
part that we just
articulation.
said.
Yeah, then you have the articulation section, which doesn't mean.
But I thought that's only talking about in the rear, on the sides.
All
No,
facades
it's
shall
all
provide
like all the
articulation.
Okay, so then on that one, I underlined the word encouraged. Encouraged doesn't mean required. It
So
means
shall be designed.
it shall be designed.
shall be, okay, so that's a good, wall planes shall be designed.
So that gives us the tooth to say,
Right,
okay,
when it
you
comes
can't
to
just
you,
have this block
right.
wall all the way across the front of the house.
And
No.
there's actually a shall in number 2
Yeah, the
under
next one
that,
has
so,
So-
right, so it makes sense.
So my question on that one was actually, is number 2 and number 1 the same thing?
Yeah, they're very similar. right?
Hmm.
But maybe it just kind of brings home the point that, you need to do something with different elevation.
So maybe combine 1 and 2 together to kind of,
Yeah, I mean, they are very similar.
So do you need 2 or do you want to?
I think that number 1 seems simpler. Number 2, I was sitting here going, provide articulation to accentuate the visual aspect is like,
Okay,
what?
I
Yeah, how
recommend deleting 2.
I agree, yeah.
How
Make it clear.
do you interpret that when somebody's here talking to you about that? You know,
I mean, one just has the prevent extensive blank walls, which is the goal, right?
Right.
It's clear.
And then you have the opportunity as the board to finesse.
and then in that saying that, number 3, which we just talked about, basically, number 1 will eliminate number 3.
Yeah, we're eliminating 2 and 3 under articulation. The the simpler the better, so.
Yeah, and then just back to that controversial, so again, 0.3 under, it's a maximum of 20% of the building frontage on the ground floor, maybe not the interior side setback. Shall be located within the front third. So they're telling you second floor massing goes in the front. But then later on, you say prioritize.
Okay, so
Which I think is back.
you mean,
So under Part B, frontages placement.
3?
Number 3.
Yep.
Where you talk about the 20% that you can have, it says it shall be located within the front 1/3 depth of the buildable area. Basically telling me on my interior side lot line, my second floor, wherever I want to be at the property or at the setback, I should put it in front.
Right.
But then down under building massing, 0.1, say that all habitable uses above the ground floor should prioritize their placement
Right, got it.
back.
So there's an, yeah, I'll talk to him tomorrow and see.
Now the question, I guess, is which do we think it should be? Should we be prioritizing it back?
Well, I think that I think the idea was this to, I see that, but it's also to maybe try and encourage the 2-story planes to not be right up against like the neighbor's
10-foot
backyard,
setback.
or
That was what the one commissioner said, and I remember that in December.
you don't want it towering over your neighbor.
I moved from Miami Beach. That's what that's what he was saying, and I didn't dawn on me that. So
So, do we want what we typically police here, which is like what the elevations of everyone's home on the right of way look like? We want a bunch of single stories and then a big double-story wall in the front.
So I say it's all got.
Doesn't interfere with privacy, but now it just kind of looks very acontextual, right? Or do we want them to build up in the rear, front lower, whatever percentage? Then we have to worry about someone in the backyard looking in the next guy's backyard.
right.
But then we,
They built setback right.
Okay, but if that's at the very front, then you actually, while you're driving by, you're looking at it, and if you're looking at a Wild West town, just everybody with giant front walls.
You're stating raises.
Yeah, well, so that, what, I guess what the point is that, okay, if we're at 10 feet and 10 feet, right? It doesn't matter at what point of the plane is that they're 20 feet apart from each other, right? No matter what you do with the code, it's gonna be 20 feet apart in some way.
For some,
I
20% that I'm allowed, I'm still 20 feet away, right? So
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah, and look, we're not as bad as like a lot of the places down south where you can like room touch. But so I think that it's better too, and frankly, it's financially a lot more feasible for a lot of these houses that have flat roofs on the backside, and they say, hey, if I want to go up, I can go up there, and I don't have to redo the front roof.
why don't we just like, if I suggest that we maybe just take out the word that says should be located within the front 1/3 depth of the building area, and just leave it that 80% has to be one way and 20% another way, and then leave it up to the architect to decide if it's going to be in the back or in the front, and not limit it to just the front. Just,
I think that
leave the 80-20% up to the architect and us to.
So
Yeah, but this is only in reference to these side lot lines.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just kind of talking about that one thing.
But I like that too, because what Edward was saying, then that'll keep Biscayne Park looking different. But right, when architects are going through and saying, okay, how do we want to get this down?
Then so I agree in 10.33B, item 3, we delete that shall be C1 that says prioritize your massing in the back.
Yes,
I agree.
okay, so we're keeping the
with
way,
that.
building that C1, we're keeping it as is. But on B3,
Deleting shall.
so where we're stopping the sentence?
It's the end of the first sentence.
Yeah, but we're taking out shall be located within the front 1/3.
Yes.
So we're stopping at,
Well, and delete the and.
yeah. So we're stopping at the interior side setback line, period. And then get rid of and shall be located within the front 1/3 of the buildable area. And then the 2/3 is fine under C1.
Yes.
Okay, and then the second sentence in B3, 80%, you have to step back 5 feet or 1 foot of side setback 2 feet in height. Is that okay? That's
Item,
B3, correct. Second sentence, is that okay?
yeah. I think that's- Question on just the language. So B4, where it starts off a maximum of 100%. Any reason why that language is different than 1 and 2? They're talking about. I feel like it should be the same exact verbiage as 1 and 2.
Sorry, say that again.
Under part B, right? You've got item 1,
Oh,
item 2.
okay, yeah,
They're phrased 100% of the building frontage on the ground floor. But then the part 4 is actually
Got it. Just
similar
a
and it should be
maximum of.
phrased
No,
100% of the building frontage,
Yeah.
maybe like,
It shouldn't say
Right,
a
no,
maximum.
we're
of.
getting
yeah,
rid
it's
of-
just that it's using the language of the 2 and 3 and wait, 3 and
Right.
3. We have 2 3s, by the way.
So, yeah, I know, I saw that
Sorry.
typo. So,
Just all that.
um,
No, I was talking about the second 4, no, the first 4.
right, we're gonna just take out a maximum of, and then it's consistent with the other, with 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it says the same thing, but I just feel
Yeah.
like the verbiage should match.
No, you should be consistent. It's front, side, and rear.
So 4 is becoming side and rear.
I'm sorry?
It's 100% of the building frontage may be placed. You're just saying, I'm sorry, repeat what y'all are doing.
We're taking out a maximum of under new 5, new 5, the second 4. We're just saying 100% of the building frontage may be allowed to be placed on the rear setback line.
Just literally mimicking the language of
Yep.
part 1 and 2, which
Yep.
are
But my
trying to say
concern,
the same things.
my concern on that one is we're saying 100% of the building frontage, meaning first and second floors.
Which is, yes, which is what the
Right.
which is what this says. Now, that's a different story, whether we agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just saying that's something to talk about is, do we agree that this is referring to second floor? Because I'm concerned about that backyard up to the property line, 2-story type of situation.
So, but so on the rear setback.
It's almost like number 2 needs to say 100% of building frontage on the ground floor may be allowed to be placed on the side and rear setbacks. Correct?
Well, yeah, you're just combining. right?
Yeah, and then number 5 could say, this is where I would be concerned about on the rear setback, having 100% of the second story on the rear setback. We want to go back, do we want to maybe do the same wordage in number 3 regarding the rear?
I would not agree that you only put a maximum of 20.
Or no, but at 20, maybe, I'm just saying
or 4.
something so that it's not, because there are going to be houses that, that we're leaving the side privacy issues, but there are going to be houses that if people built up to the back property line,
Right.
2 stories, it's the same issue is going to happen to the people behind them.
Right.
So that's my concern about that number 5.
But this is what Dave was saying. If I build only 20% of my back up to that, who cares? Like, your privacy is no less or more if I've got, like, what's the difference? Is if I'm allowed to build that close on a second floor at all, who cares if it's 20% or 30 or 50 or 80 or 100?
Still something looking.
See into your backyard regardless, from my 1 room or from my 3 room.
Well, the thing is on the side there, we're limiting the type of windows that can be used. So you're providing,
Yeah, on
I
the
can do it in the
side.
back.
you
You're
want to
not
do
gonna tell someone
something
they can't
similar to the rear.
Have windows in their
I
backyard.
don't
way.
know. I wouldn't like not to have access, you know.
No, but but I'm saying like, we're only allowing clear stories on the side, but you can't do that in your backyard.
Right.
Tell someone they can't look into their backyard.
Also, I had a question.
Can't watch their
too
kids
on-
playing when they're in their master bedroom on the second floor. I mean,
I'm not an architect, but isn't it spelled differently than what it is here? Isn't it CLERE story window, not CLEAR story? So I had to Google like, oh, I don't know what a clear story is, but I knew what the other thing was. CLERE.
Clear story. That does not look right.
Yeah. So E2. That's
E2. Yeah,
typo.
you're correct.
But Gage, you get my point that like in the back, I get your, what you're trying to accomplish is the same privacy concerns in the back, but
If I'm allowed to put a
who
little,
cares if it's 20% or 50? I mean, the point is, if I can build 2 stories up to 10 feet away, someone could complain about, privacy.
I mean, an example would be the flat story house at 117th and 10th that we just approved. Their backyard faces the side of the house behind them, and their pool is right there. So if we allowed them to put a 2-story house up to 10 foot of their property line, they would literally be
Able to dive
sitting down into the neighbor's pool.
And what we should be doing then is on the rear, not saying a percentage, just saying on the rear, you have to set back 20 feet.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying it.
Right? Because if it's a percentage, then it doesn't really help the privacy because 20% of my rear elevation is still 10 feet away from your property.
I agree. I'm open to that. I'm just saying that it just can't be a vertical wall of 2 stories. It does, because there are situations that, like I just described, that it will happen.
yeah, no, but I agree with what Edward's saying because most houses, people aren't building at the very, very deep. So if you create a rear setback for it, you're only basically addressing the situation where one rear is facing somebody else's side, correct?
I'm just saying if the issue is privacy in the rear, where you're going to have windows that aren't clear stories, just ask the second floor setback. It may not even affect them because they're probably already going to be 20 feet back from the rear of the first floor. let alone the second. But
Okay, so then let me bring up another point. It ties it all in. Under number 2, the second part of that sentence paragraph, the remaining 80% shall be set back a minimum of 5 feet or 1 foot of side setback for each 2 feet of the building height. This is reference to above this first floor, right? But it doesn't say that.
Which one?
He's talking about B.
B3, the last sentence.
first 3.
Yeah,
B, the original 3, yeah.
Yeah.
The remaining 80% shall be a setback, a minimum of 5 feet or 1 foot of side setback for each 2 feet of building height. So I'm pretty sure this is referring to above the first floor.
Yeah.
So shouldn't this be the same language for the rear?
No, because this is only for that 80% that you're allowed to keep tight. Excuse me.
80% you have to go
80%
back.
You can keep as a wall, 2 stories. The rest you're setting back, but that wouldn't help your situation in the rear. Again, I could still keep 20% right at the property line, right at the setback line.
Yeah.
I think that on the side, these percentage things work because you're really just kind of eroding the sense of the wall and you have clear stories only so that you have privacy and you have the feeling of a looming wall. So the percentage things, it works for the sides. The rear, you're not going to force people to only have clear stories on their rear second story. Then you have to go to increase the distance of your second floor setback to 20 feet, whatever we think that number should be.
Because what Scarlett was saying too is if you do that, you can't have any bedrooms on a second floor because then you can't have fires.
And it's just also you can't tell someone
Yeah.
you can't have windows into your backyard.
But I do agree that B3 then should have that second sentence should have clarifying
That it means for the above the first floor.
So the remaining.
It doesn't say above the first.
I mean, the first part says a maximum of 20% of the building frontage above the ground floor may be allowed to be placed on the interior side setback. The remaining 80% has to be set back 5 feet or 1 foot.
Like,
Okay.
is that the remaining 80% above the ground floor? I can add that language.
Do it
Shall be
again,
set
but
back.
I don't-
It's redundant, but So
I mean, should we be using the word ground floor and should we just not be saying the first floor and a second floor since we have a 2-story height in the park? Shouldn't we be just using that plain language saying first floor should be, you know, this, second floor should be this? Instead of using ground floor, just say the frontage on the first floor may be allowed to be placed in. Huh?
Instead of using the distinction being ground floor or above ground floor, which is confusing, you're saying
first and
ground floor and second floor.
Or just call it first floor and second floor.
Right.
You know,
I'm also embarrassed. I'm a little confused by using the term building frontage and it's on the rear setback.
I know, but
That-
that's,
that-
I went over that with Giano and
Thank
that's what they
you.
use. I brought that up.
As a
right away.
planner, like, I'm like, what?
I know.
I mean, to me, it's normal. You have different frontages. You have a side frontage, a rear frontage.
As long as you understand it,
keep-
I.
They're all
questioned
types
it
of
You said
before.
frontage,
frontage and
like
it's on the
other
rear.
humans would say rearage.
I did question it, trust me. on that
Thank
one.
you, Alex.
Can I make another point, which is that for E2, the one that has that clear story typo, I
Mhm.
think that based off of what our conversation is after the comma probably should be struck through that says limited to the front 1/3 depth of the buildable area. Because if we're saying, hey, openings except for basically, I'm gonna just change this to windows that are above the site, prohibited on all interior sidewalls above the ground floor. But I don't understand what the limited to the front 1/3 depth of the buildable area. I don't understand exactly what that means.
I think it's just saying we can't have windows on the back facing.
No, I agree. That's unclear.
Sorry, is that clear? So openings are prohibited.
That was the one of the ones that I was looking at. Like, wait, does that mean that I can't put windows on the back of my house?
Well, this is only referring to
This
the
is a
Side.
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 Saying
But
when
it's
I
basically
read-
saying in the front third side you can't have windows, but in the second, third on the side you can. See,
No, I think it's reverse, isn't it?
I-
It's on the
I-
first third, you can have windows. On the
can
back,
have.
you have to have clear story only. I think that's
okay,
what,
because the reason being in the front third, okay, if you have a window, you're looking into their roof, but on the back third, you're looking into their.
But then but the sentence
So we
then
do
is
allow windows on the second floor within the front third.
Yeah.
Within the back third, on the second floor, we have clear story.
the sentence then is wrote backwards the wrong way.
So.
Because
okay.
what it's saying is openings should be limited to the front 1/3 depth of the building area, comma, except for clear story windows. Because they're, and then as a second sentence, that openings are like other openings besides.
Well,
clear
unless you
story.
say, instead of saying limited, you say with the exception of the front 1/3, right? Prohibited on all interior sides with the exception of the front 1/3.
Yes.
At any point, that sentence needs to be, yeah.
it needs to be cleared up a little bit.
Yeah, that was the one that I was reading before we even got here.
So the intent is though, on your second story, you can have windows at the side elevation. Front third. Past that. clear story.
Okay, so with with the exception of the front third depth of the building area openings, shall be prohibited except for clear story window or something like that. Flip it around.
Or you reverse it and say windows are only permitted in the front third.
Right. Make it
That's the way
easier,
that I was
yeah.
saying it was like
Yeah, it's kind of
start
like,
with what is inclusive
Right.
and then
Windows are
tell
permitted,
clear stories.
in,
yeah, this is a very confusing way to say this.
but you still want clear story of the rest, right?
Correct, yeah. I was saying maybe approach it from what's approved versus what's not.
Windows are permitted at the front 1/3.
We're upping the.
It's gonna take us an
Well,
hour.
Especially because we know we see the. I will always forget sometimes now they have to.
Well, that's what I was thinking is from an enforcement thing, we're gonna need to have like.
Yeah, I mean,
Pervious.
Yeah, that the architect needs a diagram, the dimension of the side, and that they can do it. It's just.
Well, no, but I'm saying for us, from a simplicity, if we don't have like some standardized, like the architect has to fill out a like a version of a calculation sheet that's similar to the impervious versus impervious.
I think he's got to do a site plan.
And then what I'm saying is so he does that, which we should have anyways, but then we're sitting there trying to make sure like, hey, did he set back enough? Inside?
We're gonna have like a checklist probably and be like, okay, this, and this. On that same opening locations.
Mhm.
I'm curious, first, again, we're using the word encourage to design in such a manner to impede visibility into abutting properties. But, the word encourage kind of comes out of me again. The other thing too is on the balconies, I agree with it. My only thing would be is that we're also getting with balconies that are on like the back of the house that are right up against the side. So when you're standing on your balcony, you're overlooking the neighbor. So it's almost like number 3 and 4, like balcony shall not be on the facade facing an interior side frontage, but also shall not overlook the side, the frontage or something like that. We get all these party decks on the back now. They're basically the second story overlooking
Right.
the thing, but they're not on the side of the house. They're in the back of the house.
Right.
So.
Or even the roof.
Actually, that's a very good point.
So, but
we do not have anything in our code that says you can't have a third story roof deck. Take all these things but you still put a third story
Right.
roof deck. You bypass all the privacy issues that we just.
when in Miami Beach, we actually, they required, because I was on the design review board for some years, they required if there was a rooftop, it had to be set back, say, 5 feet or something. You couldn't have it right to the edge of the building. It had to be, internal.
Yeah.
Or not internal, whatever. It had to be set back.
More like a widow's
facade, just to prevent.
One more thing, Alex,
I mean, you bring up a good point.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Maybe this is, like, when he goes back, maybe look at.
Yeah.
Then people want it, right? It's
And they
another
want
amenity
it.
to the house.
But,
So maybe now's the time to say, we step back.
Or maybe saying we allow only 2 floors and you're not allowed to have a roof deck.
Yeah, and
Personally, I don't think I want to do
these
that. but
small lots want more exterior space.
Yeah,
hang out.
exactly. People have no yards. People
Yeah.
have a place to be outside. I think
Get
we should
out,
allow
get away
it, but
from the mosquitoes a little bit.
police it.
But it just kind of counterbalances everything we're trying to do. Let's put a widow's.
I
walk
know,
up
you're
there.
up higher looking over.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't see directly to the house next door, but you can see 2 houses down.
Yeah.
And you're right, the smaller lots, that's the problem. They
Or
wouldn't allow
outdoor space, yeah.
But how many smaller lots do you have? I mean, I don't think we're known for
You
it.
don't-
We have
yeah,
big
you-
lots.
No,
you know.
you're not in the same situation as other places.
I would be for saying no third floor deck. Or just severely limit it so that it's only like smack dab in the middle or something with limited view over into your neighbors.
And I mean, it's kind of a trend now also to kind of put like facilities up there. Like little kitchen. Like
Yeah,
not
your
just a deck,
outdoor
but,
kitchen.
Yeah,
Because if you don't have a backyard.
yeah.
Then but
Not
when
just
you start
limited
doing
to,
that,
like,
does
a
it become a
deck and
story?
Do stuff up there.
Does it become a third story?
In some places, it's a percentage of,
Yeah.
if if it exceeds a percentage of roof area, then it's a story.
Yeah. One more little comment for the exhibits. We don't have the term primary street frontage in any of the language, but it's in the exhibits. So if that could just, either way, I don't care which term you're gonna use,
Just
but.
take primary
but,
frontage.
We've got building frontage.
Right, I'll just take,
And then in
take
the
street out.
exhibits now we're using the term primary building. Primary street frontage. But, and also, whatever is in the definition. I don't know what term we're using in the definition.
Okay, just make sure it matches.
Yeah, all three go together. Oh, we're using primary frontage.
Right, street comes out.
Yeah, so, well, now we've got three things. We've got building frontage in here. And we've got primary street frontage in the exhibit.
Just go
So
over.
yeah, just try to make sure, whatever it is.
Okay, so I think what's left, I mean, this is the draft. So I need to go back to the rear issue. Do you want to have that set back or not? I mean, you know,
What if, I mean, I know the entire purpose of this was to you know, limit judgments on things. But, you know, this is one of those things where gonna be put up to the board to make a decision and say, hey,
I'm personally fine with that, Gage, because I don't think it's
how can you regulate it?
a huge problem, right? Most people aren't building two-story walls up to 10 feet from their garage. Don't think it's
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, but there are restrictions, right? You still have a lot coverage, so, and you're not gonna push your house all the way to the back just to go up 10 feet. So I just don't think it's really.
And I agree, and it's not a huge thing, but we just, like I said, we dealt with it recently. Luckily, we had a very compliant, understanding architect and developer that said, oh, okay, that makes sense. And
well, but you could always recommend denial. So I mean, that's why I don't want to be too strict. I keep on saying that. I just want to allow. That's my only concern.
I think the side percentages make a lot of sense. A lot of issues. I'm not.
maybe just discuss it on your team there, Alex, and just say, it's a concern of the board having leeway on the rear.
Right. I mean, I think
for
you
privacy
want-
issues.
Ooh. So I could, so the roof terrace issue, am I addressing it or not? So,
Anyway, you can.
What-
Other. Caught up with it.
I only know of one rooftop.
Permitted.
There's some issues
They're
with
in-
the code. so
They're in the process of prohibiting
We
it.
have no idea. So, yeah, so somehow that was permitted. I don't.
I just feel the same way
It-
about
it-
that as I do the rear, that you have the opportunity to say, hey, that's, there's an intrusion, so let's work on their size, position, and location.
Or you,
We did it with the guy on, the young developer kid, right? Put a roof terrace on his project. But we worked on the size of it, the distance from the street. Also,
It
it was on the,
or second level.
yeah, it was actually not, I guess it wasn't on a third, it was a second.
On the second level in the front.
sorry, I had to deal with finding a different babysitter, 'cause the first babysitter. But what I was thinking is Charleston, South Carolina, the barrier islands there, a lot of them have roofs, but they have a rule that you can't start a rooftop terrace thing if it's above a certain elevation. Again, I don't know if that's above grade or floodplain or whichever thing, but that you couldn't start it if it's above a specific exact height. So you aren't putting restrictions on a building going to an infinite height, which I know is one of our loophole codes, but that if you were going to do a rooftop terrace part, it couldn't be above certain elevation. That's the way that the barrier islands, South Carolina, do it, or at least that area.
elevator shafts, they count. Things, not understanding the elevator shafts, residences, you know, but that's taken into account too, because it affects visual.
So my thing would be, you know, second story rear or second story non-side balconies should not be overlooking neighbors, you know, because that's what we're having now is the ones in the back that just, they do that. And then if it's gonna be on the third floor, it has to be the same. It has to take into consideration privacy of the neighbors. Because if not, we're just negating everything that we're trying to do by allowing that, you know.
So, but
I would actually be for personally saying no third floor terraces or decks. But, you know, that would be, since
you
so the
have a
board
height
have to come up with that,
limitation,
you know.
so, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's discretion, but on the rear, I mean, you have language that says, you know, I know it says encouraged to be designed in such a manner as to impede visibility to abutting properties.
So
that
maybe
would
just take out the
apply-
word encouraged to be designed in
No,
such a manner.
But I mean, like I said, that gives you no, you know, gives no flexibility, shall, it has to. So is that what you want? Okay. If you do, you do, you know.
Yes.
Are to be designed in such a manner, are to be, yes. I mean, there's are to be and shall be. Are those differences in lingo? I think I would just stick with shall be. Okay.
And it shall be designed, we're gonna just say that.
And right, by just doing that, we would have the teeth to say, okay, your roof deck and your back patio are not, oh, you know, you're overlooking the neighbors.
So do you want me, I don't need to put in roof terraces in here.
No, because right now it says above the ground floor.
So,
So it actually, this is where the use of the word above ground floor would actually.
right, that includes a third
It would
level.
work.
Right.
Would include third floor.
Exactly.
This keep above ground.
No, but you know, like I said, I know it's an issue and it, you know, whatever we need to do, but I think this solves, you know, the rear issue. Anything else?
I think that we edited every
Single word that you.
But I think it's all been, first of all, it's a great start, and I think that it's what we're looking for.
And you have to be, the whole goal is for you and the commission, especially you, to be comfortable with whatever you're writing. So if you guys, you know, feel it's pretty solid, if you're gonna need something.
I don't think it's too heavy handed. My concern or fear was that we come in and really start dictating right touch.
Yeah, because I think at the beginning, I started hearing things like, you know, oh, we're gonna decide, you know, what kind of balcony, what kind of railing, what kind of, you know, ornamentation and things, and I was like, oh, no, that's not what we want.
I think it'll keep 215 Park every house different. And it allows people to financially, it allows the maximum financial viability. There are people that the only thing that they financially can afford to do and they want to do is go above the flat roof portions of their house.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time tonight. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Because I believe it's going to the commission next month. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you would have it ready to go back to the commission because they're like the beginning of June, right? It's in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. Yeah, it's not gonna happen that fast. So we have 2 more meetings in June before July, so if you wanted to send it back to us. Yeah. And it's good to clean up the language and make it less, because I could just hear people coming in and being like, making fun of the language and like, poison pilling this thing. What we're trying to avoid is not make anything that's gonna shoot it down in the end. But, I don't want to just go over, Ed, what you were bringing up earlier. I think that's something that maybe if, there's a desire to talk about those things, the side fronts, we should, have that discussion next kind of thing. I think that, it's the topic that obviously you feel strongly about, and I think we should, but I think maybe not on this because
This.
I don't want to poison this one thing by putting something in that's going to kill it. So. Precedent, yeah. Okay. All right, so let's get on with our meeting. So, all right, we have minutes from May 2nd, 2022. I wasn't here, so I wasn't privy, but I'll let you guys.
I looked through them. I didn't see any edits required.
Can I just ask real quick, the Witchner, the metal roof discussion, was that just, again, the? Thanks, Al.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a bit odd because he thought he was on the agenda, but he wasn't on the agenda, but then he was here, so we wanted to at least try to have a conversation with him, but it came down to the overhang and the fascia issue, and I guess he's the roofer for the applicant, and they have a condition, just like the gentleman that was here a month ago, that needed to actually extend an overhang on the one
side,
the ridge face, and the roofer that was here last time was like, shouldn't apply, that it should only be the actual eaves on the sides. But we walked them through the code that it clearly says the entire perimeter, and we pointed out that we had an applicant that just went this. He's
So-
gonna go back and talk to the homeowner.
So that's Witchner, right? 10917.
Yeah, that was the one that was added.
Okay. Yeah, so whenever was our motion, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Heat game was great.
Yeah, texted him afterwards. Like, I hope you're feeling okay, but
No, it wasn't a heat game. I was out of town actually. All right, so we actually have Zoller 11851 Griffin Boulevard. This is old business, which I think the same thing. They didn't have any pictures. There was no overhangs. We couldn't
Yeah.
tell anything from it. This is the Murphy roof one, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's the same problem though. Again, they basically added a diagram, but the dimensions.
I looked through the Dropbox and I didn't see anything different from the last time that they were here.
I thought they added one drawing to really show that they have overhangs, but
Yeah, but this is like some typical eaves. It doesn't even have.
exactly,
pictures
it's
on it.
not necessarily informative, right? So I think they added this diagram, right? Drawing.
It has no dimensions.
Exactly, that's my point. No
Nothing
dimensions. But I'm not sure if they understood what the issue was, right?
This is Murphy, right? He's been through this before. He's actually added overhangs to houses, so he should know what our requirements are. But again, there's no dimensions, so there's nothing for us to consider here. So it just remains denied, I guess. Motion denied. David Scarlett, all in favor, say aye. Aye. So it's still denied. Because there's no overhangs, and there was a thing for this silver Drexy-loom finish. You guys were you able to see that? I don't personally, I think it looks like it's unfinished metal.
I have to say we've
Like corrugated.
Strength.
I have to say we've approved it before though. the same exact thing. Basically, the milled finish. Yeah, the Drexel.
Looks like
Milled, the milled finish. Not a silver, it's not anything.
and we have approval?
Yeah. Remember specifically the house. Not saying that we need to continue to do that, but
Looks like galvanized like rails or something. All right, there's that. Okay, so IMSA Group, LLC, 500 Northeast on 19th Street, windows and doors. All white, clear glass, French doors, casements, fixed. Across the facade, it's number 13. Fixed, 10, casement, 9, casement. So yeah,
motion to approve.
7, 6, 6, 8.
Second.
Aye. Next will be Building F Johnson, 960 Northeast 117th Street. I don't know if you can see it from your Dropbox, but it's gray. It's kind of like what's painted there right now. Where is this house at? I don't even recognize it. Cool with it. Motion to approve. David Manning, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Next would be Building H Cervantes, 1009 Northeast 116th Street. Cool. 10-foot side, 10-foot back, 35 to the other side, and sitting way back in the lot. Setbacks are good.
Lot coverage in the Dropbox package.
Sorry?
There's no lot coverage calculations in the Dropbox. They look.
so you don't have it. I mean, it looks pretty good, so.
I don't think there's a lot of hardscape and. It might
Yeah,
comply,
existing
but it's
paver,
close.
existing paver. Okay, we can table it for the next meeting. Lot calculation. Just lot coverage.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye, aye. Motion to table. Next would be. Rune 10920 Northeast 10th.
I recused myself. Trying to maintain my marriage.
You actually have to
You
leave.
physically have to leave the room.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been through this. I've had to.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys don't have any questions. Call.
Okay, David has recused himself and has left the room. All right. Driveway painted slight gray. It kind of was gray at one point if you look at the picture.
Yeah. Like.
It's gray, it was gray before, light gray.
Is there a paint chip or just the description is like gray?
Huh?
Is there a paint chip or just a?
Yeah, I think there might be an actual paint chip that says light gray, but we don't have an attachment. One of the approved colors must be slight gray. Yeah. But I would imagine it's something like what's in that.
that's what he said. Not gonna deny it. Just asking.
We should like require like a picture of it or something. Everybody good? Make a motion. Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Wait, Dave back on.
Yeah, he's coming.
You succeeded. We just need to know what the color, what slight gray is, because we don't have the chart here.
Yeah, I'll come and pick out the.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Okay, next will be building I, Tardif Guild, 1119-11121 Northeast. Close the doors.
So this, if anyone can tell me what's the front and the back? I couldn't figure it out for life. This is the duplex, but I can't tell what's the front entry. Like, what's the street facing side that we are concerned about?
It would be the part that's the front that says that's opening number 11 and 19. Wouldn't that be?
I maybe, I don't know.
It says horizontal slider.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no door on that side, so I don't know.
You know what it is? Those are the duplexes, so they're probably where they're drawing the 11 and 19 are actually where the doors are at. And maybe that's, there's supposed to be a window, there's supposed to be something else in that little plane.
Yeah, like they're just not
Existing door.
next to that window.
Yeah.
But then it's a 11 and 19 are sliders. So maybe they're just not showing the door. It's next to that window. I just couldn't find a house on Street View.
Here, I'll look. Yeah, it's like, where's the front door? And it's weird because it says bedroom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And typical Biscayne Park duplexes are 2 and 2. Like, what does this look like on Google Earth?
I could find it. It took like Street View, like just put me in the street, literally. Didn't point at a house.
Here, this is what it looks like on. that I walk by it all the time. Oh.
And if you're correct, Gage, then okay, it's all horizontal rollers in the front.
Number 1 is horizontal slider, and number 18, horizontal slider, number 11, horizontal slider, and number 19, horizontal slider. Two and number 17 are same room. Kind of strange, but if it's what's facing the street is what we're concerned with. It's weird, like number 2 on the side of the house is single hung. Number 3 is horizontal slider. Number 4 is single hung. Number 5 is single hung. What a mixed match. 17 is single hung. Number 18 is number 16 is horizontal slider. You think somebody was telling them they need to be egress windows? That's why they're.
Okay, so it's next, it's just not showing it in the diagram.
Yeah.
From here, this is the window that they're showing. Yeah. It's that window in the door.
Yeah, so on the drawing thing, on the bottom edge, the doors are on the outside of the 2 windows. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
They're just not included.
Yeah.
They're just not in the drawing.
Okay. I mean, even though it's weird, I mean, going by our own precedent, the front facade is all the same.
Yeah.
The same color. So, you know, I think we're good to move it forward.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Next would be De Castro Building Inn, 11605 Northeast 11th Place for a fence. Placing chain link fence with a wood fence. How high is this? Location looks fine. Are they doing any gates? Anybody see any height for this fence anywhere?
Oh, it's fixed.
Replacing chain link fence.
The
with a wood
second to last page. Oh, no, that's. Oh, no, if you look on the third to last page, look on the left-hand side, about halfway down, it says 6'1".
But that's the existing. That's the existing survey. Not what they're proposing. Because over here it says 5 feet chain link fence.
Yeah, but wood fence replacing.
But this is type, like this is part of the survey.
But I mean, they have the standard wood fence detail that has 6-foot max height.
I mean, we could just say no bigger than 6 feet, no larger. But it doesn't say anywhere what they want to do. And what type of wood fence is it? Does it say? Is it horizontal pickets? These are gaps. They're.
I mean, again, it has this.
It was our standard.
Horizontal board standard. It's got the standard detail.
For horizontal plank.
The gauge in the.
Yeah, I see it. It just. Does it say how much spacing there is?
I don't think there's any. I think they're just tight board to board.
Yeah, and it does say maximum height.
Section detail shows you it's just board, abutting board. There's no gaps.
Okay. do we want to approve it horizontal with
Yeah, a motion to approve.
Second.
6-foot maximum? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, Nasajon, 11801 Northeast 9th Avenue for window. One window. Replace existing window with impact window. Picture window. White. Main entrance not included. So it's on the side, it says. Reload. Does anybody pull this up? Just what kind of lot is this? Is this an inside lot? To make sure it's not on a corner.
On one.
It'd almost be a corner.
It is. The corner, the other street is on the right side of it.
So that picture window is on the interior side.
Yeah. So northeast 9th. is in front of it. The weird thing is that this is the right side of it, looking at it from the front. That- no, it's an alley. But second on the garage is Oh, yeah, so it has like a weird, like, metal cover situation. Google Maps your lazy. Oh, it has like those weird old glass cubes, like that were super cool glass blocks.
But all the windows are casement and everything. Motion to approve.
Second.
You just
I can't approve. I can't make a motion. Somebody
should do. Second.
David did it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
That's why I had to go out.
Next we Bell, 11820 Griffin Boulevard, roof tile. Oh, here on the back. Ash brown blend, an S tile.
Second.
Favor say aye. Aye.
This is how it works. Thank you, filibuster.
Next be Sindor Inc. or Incorporated 1192022 Northeast 12th Court re-roof tile, a re-roof. Says re-roof. Actually, gray tile. Check out that diagram. That's a funky roof. Skinny roof tile. Product approval for an S tile. Do a motion. It says gray tile. Motion, just letting the chair look at the color.
It's a re-roof. I mean, if you want, I can show you what the.
If we just approve gray, and I mean, how many gray it's gonna be?
Yeah. Motion to approve. Second.
And SB, you'll send me it, so I can just double check. Aye. All right, Perez, pool discussion. Did we do that? Oh, and they're here. Okay, so they're not here. How much? That can be moved to the next one. Land development modifications, we just talked about that. Fence code edit, Commissioner Kennedy. Okay, let's do this, because I know he wants to. Fence code edit. Okay. So personally, I think it's one of those things, it's a solution to a problem that I don't think is there, but they seem to, the code enforcement board seems to have an issue with the picket, the bamboo pickets that are being applied to chain link and things like that. Our code does call out an exception or a forbiddance of, you know, the plastic slats. It says decorative inserts / privacy slats. That's the exact wording of our code for chain link fences. And then so we have an inclusive code that means that if it's not called out, if bamboo is not called out, it's not allowed. You know, we have our code says, you know, pine, wood, I mean, it has all the different things on it. So I think there's this.
Is there something like inherently like, is it just an ice board that is why the code is so compliant?
Well, I just think that the code, like, you know, we have chain link and then people go and stick something on top of it, or they have wood and they, you know, we didn't approve the wood on top of it. We approved the chain link. You know, so the code enforcement officers are trying to go after things like that, which I agree, you know. But even though I feel that our code, because it does not specifically address it, it shouldn't be allowed. They're requesting some additional teeth to go after things like that. So I am actually for this. I think it's not necessary, but I think it's not going to hurt anything to have it in our language saying, you know, you're not allowed to attach decorative something or another to another fence.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as long as it, I think Lots of people.
With
that-
chain link is, doesn't matter which side.
Yeah, but like, so what I'm saying is like, let's say it's. Anything else, I'm gonna create this section. That's why I was wondering.
It's a visual thing.
Yeah, because like, to me, let's say that I'm one of the people renting. I all maybe something that I'm back line to change why I'm saying I agree with it if it's physically attached on the outside. Because it's rotting and creating a laptop.
But I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also kind of like, I don't really want people putting up temporary fences that are not property owners, you know? It's, I mean, if there's a concern about it, they can come in and get a permit for a proper fence that will block the view.
But like, I think
Yeah, but
Isn't the problem with the bamboo is that kind of get frayed?
there's all types of bamboo. You know, there's the fatter ones, the thinner ones, the
I would see this.
So
I mean, my only concern is would be providing certain
yeah, I mean, it's just what you're describing is something that, you know, we're trying the what ifs, what if one person takes down this thing and there's a derelict boat behind it or something like that. But then next door, there might be somebody that has it and it's in disrepair and it looks like hell, you know? So it's like, okay, which one is the worst problem? Is the boat or the decaying fence?
Well, that's why I guess the direction I'm going with this, I'm fine. Based on visual inspection. So that it's not something that's done.
I think what is the intent of the memo that we have is that because our code already, the intent of the code is not to have chain link fences with some kind of slats or material. You know, if you want a privacy fence, don't put in a chain link fence, put in a wood fence, you know? So I think the intent is that we already say it in the code that you shouldn't have things on chain link, why don't we just expand that to be clear on other material?
Well, that's why the point that I was bringing up is I think a lot of reflection on this. Still want to be able to not the situation that I'm personally in, but like if we want to, I say then the bigger issue is allowing there to be chain link fences, right? Because that's the only way that you're going to get landlords that
Well, right now our code, the way it's written is that you cannot install a new chain link fence facing the right of way. So the code already is already addressing that going forward, you know.
that's why I'm saying, like, I have no issue with us. I'm just asking, is there any way that we can do it where we're framing it in a way where it's, that there has to be a qualitative degree of upkeep that allows code enforcement to go after are really dilapidated, while also allowing one that has it from a nice perspective that's potentially hiding other eyes.
In this hypothetical scenario, you think someone who has a bunch of shit and debris and garbage in their backyard is keeping a beautiful bamboo fence? Like, what's the odds, right? Like, they're either, you know, I don't think like the one that has a really nice one has stuff behind it we don't want to see. Probably that, you know, their back is nice too. The point is, we can't, how would we enforce this qualitative thing? Like, the code is you can have it or you can't.
But the other thing too is like I haven't really seen one. I'm just saying, like, from having a kid that's 1.5.
Yeah, again, I mean, if it's your concern, if someone has a privacy concern, put some Lucia in front of it, you know?
100%.
So let me.
Your example, so now it's pull it away, and now we watch.
Yeah. So again, though, look, the point is the code says you can't have stuff on the fence. That's all, that's period, right? So they're just asking us to make it not specific to slats because people say, well, that says slats, I have bamboo. If they want privacy for their kids, they can put a hedge.
So why don't we baby back something on it? Like, let's just say, you know, we recommend this going forward, but we also recommend, since they're adding this language, why don't we add language saying that chain link fences need to be screened with some kind of landscaping? So it would give the code enforcement something to say, you have to get rid of this, but also, hey, you guys that have chain link facing the right of way need to have.
Because then a tenant can go to the landlord and say, hey, dude, you got to plant bushes. I have to put down this thing. I 100% for that. Because otherwise, I mean, really, that's what they wrote. They wrote is they just want us to do it. Totally fine.
So why don't we just, what are the thoughts of the rest of the board of adding, you know, approving this and saying also we recommend land chain link fences that face the right of way should be shielded by some kind of land. Adding a putty.
It'll look a lot better.
fine with that. I mean, the whole point is we wouldn't allow, if they, you know, we don't allow them now. So the people that have them, as long as they keep them, they need to screen them. Or they can, and if they don't want to spend the money on the plants, they can spend it on the new fence, or the chain link.
It also kind of makes sense going in line.
Everybody go with that?
Yeah,
Okay, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, so we're gonna make that recommendation. We agree with his recommendation on the bamboo, but we also say we should take an effect. We should follow it up with something else.
So Gage, I know you mentioned it earlier. If you want, I can make a motion to push the 50% discussion to the next hearing.
If you don't mind.
Still discuss it just next 2
And
weeks.
then also the demolition permit procedure requirement, where did that come from? Oh, Manny. Oh, is this for the,
I saw the rodent thing and I was like, oh, like, wow, this moved really fast.
No, no, that is just a, we need together, players, we don't have, I was trying to find something, and all the cities we all have. That way we can eliminate. But if you want, we can.
yeah, since it's 9:30, can we make a motion to move the application, the 50% rule and the demolition permit procedure to the next meeting?
Discussion after the next meeting.
G.
Oh, I'm allowed to do both.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
The Robert Rules of Order failed me.
All right. I think that's it. All right, so our next meetings are. Chain link fence.
Sorry for being a pain.
Okay, our next meeting is when? June 13th.
No, just.
Should be shielded. All right, motion to adjourn. We're all done.
Yep.
9:32, we're adjourned. Everybody turn off your microphones.